Hello, everybody. Welcome to another stream. So we have Brett here again with us from Wolf Paranormal and Sam from Afterlife, Life Afterlife Production.
Yeah, it is a bit of a mouthful, Julie.
It is.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It is a bit of a tongue twister.
It is. So we were just waiting for Deb to come up, and she hasn't come yet. So how's everybody been this week? What have we all been doing?
I've had a bit of an eventful week. I was nearly struck by lightning at the beginning of the week. Unfortunately, it fried my internet network, and that was why we didn't do the stream last night, because I hadn't got the internet connection to do it. Luckily, the engineer's been this morning and has left about 50 minutes ago, so couldn't have timed it better. So I've had a bit of an eventful week.
Very much so. What about you, Sam?
I was basically doing my usual stuff, ITC recordings and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
I randomly do a lot of recordings and that, and just go through those and analyze those and stuff like that. Lots of boring internet stuff,
Yeah, lots of listening and editing.
I have got a planned video upcoming. I've just got to get it all edited. Yesterday I did a virtual reality ghost hunt with my real life son on a game called Phasmophobia. We actually did a hunt in a school, a really basic one I might add, because I'm only like level 2 in the game. I am going to edit it all up, and there will be a virtual reality ghost hunt done with my son on the channel.
That is really cool. I can't wait to see that.
Believe it or not, we actually found a demon in the school.
Oh, a Desmond.
Yeah, it was a Desmond. It turned out it was a Desmond.
Lovely. So happy to see they added that in there.
Mm-hmm. There's a choice of you can find jinns, spirits, onis, what's the others? Wraiths, and I actually got a demon, believe it or not.
Oh gosh.
We did film once before that was in an asylum, but sadly we couldn't find it, and then it killed me in the hallway, so I couldn't really show that one.
Great.
So the one I'll be putting on is actually a hunt in a school for a spirit that turns out to be a demon. So hopefully I'll be having that on the channel in the next week.
Very good. Can't wait to watch.
I watched my first ever horror film.
Oh, what did you watch, Sam?
First?
The original Annabelle. And I laughed most of the way through it.
Do you know what? I honestly don't think I've seen the original.
It was absolutely nonsense. It was just there was these jump scares and stuff, and you kind of seen the jump scares coming.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, and at times it was dragging out kind of thing. And you're fed in these weird noises, these frequencies to make you sort of scared. And you could feel it. But then I was looking at the thing. This isn't what I expected, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just
yeah.
The next Annabelle is the one where Ed and Lorraine Warren get involved. God, the big question I was going to ask about this was, do you know this thing about Annabelle Higgins? Annabelle Higgins was supposed to be the one in the real story that possessed the doll.
Right.
Yeah. She's supposed to have had an accident near the house. Now, if that was true, and in the film, Annabelle Higgins kills her family, would that not be a case for liable if Annabelle Higgins actually existed?
I'd have thought so.
Yeah, it doesn't add up to me.
I'd have thought so.
Do you know?
Mind you, it's the same with the second Conjuring. the Warrens make out that they basically waltzed into the Enfield poltergeist haunting and solved it single-handedly, when in fact they turned up at the house uninvited, were only there a couple of hours, and were told to bugger off. But if you watch the actual film, they were there for quite a while and solved the Enfield poltergeist occurrence. Total bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go back and you watch Annabelle Creation 2, which I think is the newest Annabelle movie, they show you further back from that Annabelle. They show you how the doll was first made, supposedly. But you got to imagine this is like a Hollywood thing, right? Raggedy Ann dolls back in the day were made in factories, whereas in the film, there was a man that made the doll at his home, which is BS.
Yeah,
So that's how much you can buy into Hollywood.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I believe in the actual real life events, the doll was brought for a medical student as a present by her mother.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
know, as a comfort thing. And a lot of what happened is very down to interpretation. Anyway,
Yes.
they just assign the behaviour to the doll. The doll was never actually witnessed doing anything.
I don't think the nurse ever came forward, did she?
Yeah, they know who she is.
Oh, right.
They know who she is. Apparently, there was claims that it attacked a roommate and a roommate's boyfriend, and all sorts of weird and wonderful claims came out. Apparently, it was a scratcher. She used to scratch people, but nobody ever witnessed this doll actually doing it. You know, they'd just wake up with scratches or weird and wonderful things. You know, a bit like the modern day Desmond reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Deb coming up on this stream or what?
I have no idea. I have not heard from her as yet. I'll send her a message because I don't think she's in chat.
There was a Deb in chat right at before the thing started.
She was in at the beginning.
Deb Baker?
Yeah.
Yeah, Deb Barker, yeah. Yep, that's her.
Because if not, Julie, you're going to have to start with her for now, and then we'll wait for her. I know she's got a load of stuff planned, because she messaged me and said she had. So I know she's got a lot of, unless she's having internet connections or something, I don't know.
Or she may be having dinner, because it's a little earlier for her in WA.
Yeah, because she's in Western Australia, isn't she?
She is, yeah. I mean, if you want, we can start the conversation, and then when she comes in, she said, yes, I'm coming up.
Yeah. See it there, yeah.
Woohoo! We're waiting for you, Deb, whenever you make it.
Come on, woman, get your ass in gear.
I've been doing a little bit of research and bits and pieces, and yeah,
it's a very interesting topic, symbolism.
And very deep.
It's also interesting how many different places it's actually worked into where people don't realise it's gone on.
Mm-hmm. I can guarantee I'm going to be very surprised by quite a few things tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm going to learn a lot. Yeah.
Basically, I'm here to listen to, because it's not in my it's not in my thing,
Yeah.
It's not my area of expertise, as they say.
I don't know what she's doing.
She's put, yes, I am listening.
Yeah. She's
I'm
listening.
Lol. You're supposed to be on the panel, not listening. You're supposed to be talking.
Are you having dinner, Deb? I can just imagine her rushing through her dinner to get up here.
She could sit there streaming with a plate in front of her. We don't mind.
No, go for it. We can make it a mukbang.
Yeah.
Eating like Randy Centuria.
Who the hell is Randy Santeria?
Don't know. Probably eating fast though. Oh, Centel. Randy Centel?
Santel. I've no idea
No.
who Randy Santel is either.
That went over my head too. All right. Well, you can start somewhere if you want, Brett, until she gets up.
You're better starting with what you'd done research just to kick it off with.
Oh my gosh. I just have notes of bits and pieces, really.
Right. We'll bring one up and then we'll discuss that.
Okay. So one of the a couple of the interesting points that I looked into when I was researching the symbology.
Hang on a sec.
We'll just wait a second. Okay, so I was looking into symbology today and looking at, I believe it was the Celtic symbology, and I came across two interesting pieces of information that I never knew. So one of them is, I can't pronounce this, but you see this little symbol here?
Yeah. The one that looks like a ladybird's head.
Exactly. So I can't pronounce this, but is it called Oster or Esther?
It'll probably Esther, because I think that's how you pronounce Eowyn in Lord of the Rings, and he used a lot of Celtic, so it'd probably be A rather than O. So it'd be Aster.
Aster. Yeah. So it says that he was a pagan deity, held feasts in Aster's, I think that's how you said, honour, traditional that died out due to the Christianity religion, replaced by the Easter celebration of Jesus. So it was kind of like the deity of the original Easter. Is that correct?
You think? I've no idea. Don't you think it's funny that symbol actually looks like a bunny, though?
It does, doesn't it?
Do you think that's where the Christians then used the symbolism to transfer it from what it was into a bunny? Because if you look at that, it is remarkably like a rabbit with floppy ears.
And they also said that with the traditional pagan deity, when they did their celebrations, hares, so rabbits, and eggs were involved in the celebration.
Yeah, that is right. That they used, believe it or not, druids used to sacrifice hares a lot in their rituals and stuff, because they are one of the symbols of spring and renewal. That's why you get the saying "mad as a March hare," because that's when hares are up and about and bouncing all over the fields and behaving crazy. And that is why you'll find the hare was connected symbolically to spring, because they were one of the more prevalent animals in spring.
I thought that was very interesting. So the other one that I have here, which I'm sure that you'll know what this is all about. How do you pronounce this one? Is this Sonunos or Sonanos?
Sonunos.
Yeah. So it's interesting that I don't mind my little dodgy picture there, but this fellow, he's a bull with a snake around its horns. That's how it's represented in this picture. An ancient Celtic and pagan god of fertility, life, animals, prosperity, and the afterlife. So I thought that one was kind of interesting, because in the pagan religion, you look at that and it's like fertility and life and probably springtime and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in time it's been twisted into what people would now probably see it as the devil.
That was what I was going to say. Sonunos is what was basically the god of the woodlands, fertility and the hunt. He was never an evil god. He was never considered evil in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Funnily enough, you've got him there represented by a bull. He's more traditionally represented by antlers, a stag.
Yep.
This is exactly where the Christians got the image of Satan from. He is basically Satan as far as the Christians are concerned, but he never ever was considered an evil god by the pagan followers. Not once. He was actually more of he was more towards fertility and stuff, which again I suppose a lot of the Christians frowned upon because they just saw it as, you know, the means of reproduction and nothing else. You know, you're not supposed to enjoy yourself in bed, hence where the missionary position comes from, because that's got a religious connotations to it. But he was actually the god of fertility. He was very much a benign deity, very much so.
Yep.
But the Christians, very early Christians, needed to demonize paganism, and unfortunately, he was the god they chose to represent Lucifer and the devil. I have often said it would have been very interesting had Sanunus been an actual female goddess rather than a god. Would the Christians now have the devil as a woman?
It's interesting to think about, isn't it? I agree.
Right, now, touching on symbology, I don't know what Debbie's going to cover when she actually gets here. But I presume you know about the Freemasons and the symbology there. The Freemasons are actually connected way back to the Knights Templar. It is believed that the Freemasons were what the Knights Templar became once they were, you know, driven out and cast down by the Pope, which I can't remember which Pope it was. They are also where you get Friday the 13th from being unlucky from. It was the night that I believe it was King, the Spanish king. I'm trying to think of his bloody name. May have been King Francis, one of them anyway. Basically declared that the Knights Templar were naughty and bad. Hi, Deb. Stop blowing kisses at me. And he basically twisted the Pope's arm into denouncing them, and they were all basically captured and a lot of them executed on Friday the 13th. That's where it comes from. But their symbology has carried through to the Freemasons, and believe it or not, Washington DC is actually a giant symbol. If you connect Capitol Hill, the White House, and various other important government buildings, they actually form a giant pentagram, a perfectly symmetrical giant pentagram. Washington DC itself is probably the biggest example of symbology in the world.
Wow.
True.
Because it was built, Washington DC was actually built by the Freemasons, and there is, I know the White House and Capitol Hill are two of the points. I can't remember the other three, but they are three more important governmental buildings, and they actually form a perfect pentagram in the centre of Washington DC.
And when the lodestone was placed for the White House,
Yeah,
Washington wore full Freemasonry regalia.
that's right. That's right.
There's photos of it.
Just before you mentioned that, what was going through my head was a symbol on a door of an abandoned property that I went to about 2 years ago. I originally called the White House, which it was. It's called the Irish White House.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to change the name of it because there's legal issues there. But there was a symbol. There was a masonry symbol on the knocker of the door.
Yeah.
Which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through that video after I finish this because that was interesting.
Yeah, early colonization of America is actually steeped in symbology of the Freemasons.
Oh yeah,
Every single note in the US actually has the pyramid and the all-seeing eye on it. You know
yep.
that
Even
is
their
that.
money.
Yeah, that is actually embedded into the money. If
Yeah.
you turn a dollar note over, you know it is the centerpiece of the dollar note
Mm.
is the pyramid and the all-seeing eye,
Mm.
which
Yeah,
then
but the
dates
sim.
back to ancient Egypt and the Eye of Ra.
Yep. Well, Freemasonry symbolism goes back to the worship of the sun goddess
Yeah,
in
through
Sumerian culture,
through the Knights
and
Templar.
then Babylonian, and then Greco-Roman, and it crossed the Mediterranean then.
Yeah,
But it goes far, far back.
yeah. Paranormal symbols or pre-Christian symbols are rife in modern day. Nazi Germany adopted the swastika, which is actually a reversal of a protection symbol
Yep.
that was used by pagans, and is actually considered a very positive symbol. But Nazi Germany reversed it, and it became the swastika. So if you mirror image a swastika, you get the earlier version, which was actually a protection symbol. As we spoke about last week, Hitler's massively involved in the paranormal, and a lot of what Nazi Germany got up to revolved
Mm.
around symbolism and the paranormal.
Wow.
He got some
And the
very
Vril
strange ideas.
Society
Yeah, yeah.
is a
Same with
huge.
yeah. Same with Crowley. Crowley was another person who was massively involved in symbolism. He pulled
Yep.
a lot of his symbology from ancient Egypt. A lot of people connect
Agreed.
Alistair Crowley to the devil. Alistair Crowley had got no interest in the devil whatsoever. He was actually trying to
No.
resurrect an ancient Egyptian god, and that is where a lot of the symbology from what Alistair Crowley used, which is in fact ancient Egyptian symbology, not pagan symbology, has now been corrupted and is currently accepted by a lot of people as pagan symbology, when in fact it's Egyptian symbology and has nothing to do with the devil whatsoever.
No. Same as the pentagram. That goes back 15 to
Oh yeah,
20,000 years.
yeah,
The pentagram originally was used for crops and cosmology and earth symbols, and it was
yeah,
a protection symbol, even
yeah,
in
yeah,
Kabbalah.
yeah.
Yep.
See, a lot of people, and this even goes for people who supposedly run paranormal channels and are big into it, don't know the difference between a pentagram and a pentacle.
I do.
Go on then, Julie. Which is
Agreed.
which,
A pentacle has a circle around it.
and why does it have the circle around it?
Circle around it.
Is it the casting of the circle, maybe?
No,
Okay.
it's actually because the pentagram. A lot of people believe there are four elements. There are actually five.
Yeah.
If you look at a proper pentacle with the point facing up, your top left one represents air, your top right one represents water, your
Water,
bottom left
air,
one is earth,
earth,
and then your
and
bottom right
fire.
is fire. The top pentacle point represents the fifth element, which is actually spirit. The circle
Or ether.
represents the unity of all five of them, and how they all interact. You cannot have balance without all five
Yep.
of the elements, and that is why it's got the circle around it. It represents the unity of the five. But without the circle around it, it is considered a pentagram and is basically a protection symbol. But a pentacle is actually used within magic to summon power, because the
Correct.
circle the circle contains the power.
Yeah,
It's like the vessel that keeps the power within the five
a lot of
elements.
a lot of
That's why
practicing people have the pentacle on their altar and that, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
to cast a magic circle, you actually draw a pentacle.
Yes.
Your magic circle is basically a pentacle.
Yep.
But how you open and close the circle is a different variation on how you draw it in which direction. You go left to right to close, and you go right to left to open.
Yeah, that depends on what you believe in paganism. Wiccans actually draw a pentacle, and they start from the top. They go down, across, down, and then back up. You always, if you once you cast a circle, you're not supposed to leave it if at all possible. If you do have to leave it, you do first cut it from the left and then the right, and then you reseal it from the right to the left. We also believe you enter and exit the circle from the east side of it. Most people would presume you'd go in from the north, but you don't. You actually enter from the east, which represents the element of air. The cardinal points are also used in symbolism. They tie into the elements as well. North represents earth, east represents air, south represents fire, and west represents water. The order you cast things in is also important. And this again is something that varies. I believe that you start from the east, which air is used to bring in the power. You then invoke the element of fire, which is used to empower it, and the first stage of cleansing. You then invoke the power of water in the west side of the circle, which is the main cleansing of the power, and then you finally finish by invoking the watchtower of the north, which is the power of earth, which is used to ground the power. Then and only then is the circle considered cast and grounded. I always say to people, you should never be using any kind of spell that focuses on just one element, because that's not how they're meant to be. And if you're using any spell that doesn't involve some kind of earth element, you have not grounded the power, and you're dealing with all sorts of things. And this is why I think you get people believing in things like possession and portals and stuff like that. It's not because they've actually opened something. It's that they haven't opened something correctly, so it hasn't been grounded.
And that always must be grounded.
Yeah, and that is always done in the watchtower of the north, which is the element of earth.
Yeah.
Right, what do you want to cover about symbolism, Deb? Because you said you'd got some stuff.
Oh, I could wax lyrical all night long and not break a sweat. However, I guess the most easiest thing in the 21st century that I can think of for symbolism is emojis.
Yeah.
That you have to have a context for a symbol.
Yeah.
Whether
totally
it's Christian, art, literature, whatever, it has to have a context.
Yeah. See, a perfect example of that was last week with Julie with her aubergine. And Jackie hadn't got a clue what it was. You know, that is the perfect example of when symbolism breaks down. When somebody doesn't realise what the symbol actually is meant to represent.
She could have thought I was hungry.
Yeah. You know, but that was a perfect example of symbology and what happens when symbology breaks down. Like you say, it does have to have a context. Another interesting one to note is the spiral is symbology that has been adopted by cultures all over the world at all different times throughout history. And what is really interesting about that one is it has always cropped up independently. These people have never had any contact with each other, yet they use the spiral to represent the same thing, which is the eternity of life.
Of course. Yes. it's not only context, but the symbolism in one culture has a completely different meaning in another. For example, we in the West, for a funeral, would wear black. Yet in Japan, it's the reverse.
Yeah.
You must wear white.
White.
So context and cultural norms and belief systems and structures have to be understood to understand a symbol.
Yeah. See, another good example of that is black cats. Now, the symbology of black cats is they are immediately associated with witches. If you see a black cat in the US, it is considered very unlucky. If you see a black cat in the UK, it is considered the exact opposite. It is considered lucky to have a black cat walk across your path. So, you know, even within fairly localized areas, symbology can vary so much it's untrue. Black cats being a perfect example of it. You know, Americans are quite frightened of black cats, whereas in Britain they are considered lucky, extremely lucky.
Kanga had a quick question leading on from last week's chat before we get further down. She said, a spirit box only needs one operator, but why does a Ouija board need more than one?
A Ouija board doesn't need more than one.
There you go, Kanga.
Yeah. It can be operated by one person, but it's believed that a certain number increases the power and the intent.
Yep.
To be honest with you, it's not something I subscribe to. I have done many Ouija boards solo, and my results have been no different as to whether it's been me on my own or me with 10 other people. I was actually talking to Julie about this the other day, where I was telling her about what I did when I was younger. I used to have somebody contact me on the Ouija board, which again is another thing all based around symbology. And I used to have a regular contact of something. I will just call it a something because I've got no way of knowing for definite what it was, who used to identify as a young girl. Now, she used to give me a name, and she used to, funnily enough, generate a certain symbol on the Ouija board, which was actually the symbol for Amiga or Affinity, which would get faster and faster, and then she would finish by circling it. I did various Ouija boards with 3 separate groups of people who knew nothing about this young girl or how she identified herself on the board. I never touched the board. I basically just recorded what was spelt out, and all 3 times that name and symbol came up right at the beginning of the session.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
The alpha and the omega.
Not just that, the fact that, one, I made sure these people had no knowledge of this contactee, and 2, I never touched the board. And that
yet
was my way.
they still came through.
It still came through. That was my way of verifying that I was communicating with who I thought I was communicating with.
Yeah.
And I did that with 3 separate groups of people, and 3 times it worked.
Interesting.
Very interesting. All right, Deb. Lead us down the rabbit hole of symbology. I'm waiting.
How deep do you want to go?
All the way.
Kanga, she didn't actually send alpha. All she did was the Amiga symbol. The only reason she did it, I think, it was because it was easy to identify on the board. By the figure 8 on its side is easy to actually do with a sliding planchet. But it was the fact she used to do it, get faster, and then finish by doing a circular, like, underscoring. She used to surround it with a circle at the end. Go on, Deb, sorry.
No, you're all right.
I was just answering Kanga's question.
Yep.
Do you want me to
You
ask
could
you
also,
a question?
yeah, fire away to get me going, and I can wax lyrical after that. So,
All right. So something that you guys touched on when we said we're going to discuss this week, and I thought this was interesting. I wonder what she means. So back in the time of Egyptian hieroglyphs and cave paintings in Australia and stuff,
So
every
you
now
said
and
cave
again,
paintings then?
cave
yeah,
paintings, yeah,
cave art.
Cave.
cave art.
I
Okay,
thought you said cake.
no cave. Okay, so every
I
now
knew
and
it. I
again,
heard.
yeah, you will see what appears to be alien spacecraft, or people say they're alien
Yeah.
beings.
Yeah.
Can you
Yep.
delve into that a little bit for us?
That is, you would have to go back to the Sumerian times and probably earlier again, but let's start linear from there. Because literally, you could go back to the beginning of time immemorial.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start from a linear perspective and work forward from that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, there are the Egyptian symbols in cuneiform and in art on many of the pyramid walls and buildings. And what it looks like is in a Star Wars movie like a speedster.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It has stars connected above it. You have the images in the Sumerian and earlier Dogon. Now, that's a fascinating topic all on its own. But they started before the Sumerians and believe that we are star seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole creation story within a Christian context is art forms on
Mm-hmm.
walls. They have also earlier cultures. I'm not going to call them primitive because they weren't. They had a very clear understanding of cosmology and our place within it.
Mm-hmm.
The symbols of what we would now call a UFO, in my humble opinion, are accurate.
Mm-hmm.
There is growing anthropological, archaeological evidence for this. Um, it's a reference that was made by Brett last week when I was on his channel.
I'm gonna touch on this in a minute when you've finished.
I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. Otherwise, it's going to go off on a weird
Mm-hmm.
tangent and stay within the context of the question. Yes, there is symbolism, which indicates contact with beings not of this world.
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna watch Sam's face carefully as I say this. I believe that what is recorded in that symbology is exactly what they saw. I believe it also ties in why previous civilizations have had technology that has suddenly gone. I believe that it is as a result of direct alien intervention with these cultures. They've brought their technology with them, and when they've gone, they've taken it with them. This is why there is no explanation as to how these people actually did the things they did, because it was done with technology that wasn't theirs. It was brought from somewhere else to the planet, it was used, and then it was taken away when they left. There is a famous hieroglyph somewhere in Egypt that depicts what can only be described as an helicopter,
True.
and that is basically what it looks like. There is nothing else you could say it is. What you have also got to remember is they had to carve these symbols into stone. So at the time, they would have used the most simplistic forms possible to carve into stone. They had there was no advantage to them to do these intricate symbols unless they were actually recording something they had physically seen. You know,
Yeah.
because carving something like an helicopter into stone would not be practical for everyday language use. So they are obviously recording something that there was no other possible way of recording it. So
Yeah.
personally, I believe what those symbols look like is exactly what they represent.
Mhm.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you think about like when we dream these days, I mean, sometimes I have a lot of far out dreams. Let me tell you, that's another topic. But most of the time, what we dream is what we have seen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
There's always a basis in reality. Even art, pictorials, tell
Mm-hmm.
a story.
Mhm.
How a people came together, their gods, their belief system. You have when you draw a symbol, it is fully something that you have seen and engaged with. It's not something abstract.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And to draw the thing, particularly the helicopter and the
Yeah.
speedster, for one of the depictions are so precise,
Yeah.
they cannot be interpreted any other way.
Ask Sam that question, Julie. It'll be interesting because Sam don't believe in little green men.
Oh, doesn't she?
No, not to the extent that we do, or in the
No,
same way.
Mm.
you have to unmute yourself, Sam.
You muted, Sam.
On this topic, he may prefer to be. She's
Yeah,
sitting there just going, mm-hmm.
yeah. I was going to ask. There has been flying saucers in um, religious paintings, and are
Yeah,
those actually real or are they just made up?
they're genuine.
All right.
They're
There
real.
is there's quite a famous, I think it's 15th century painting, a medieval painting, and it's a figure standing in a city, and in the background there is actually a UFO drawn on an angle in the sky. You can actually see it flying in the sky, and it is a UFO
Yeah.
without a doubt. It's saucer shaped, and it is drawn into the sky on a 15th century, religious painting.
Yeah, yeah. The first thing that came to mind when coming onto the stream was actually the stone carvings of the helicopter. That's
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
famous
yeah,
one, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, have there been depictions of UFOs in, I would try and say, every religion?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Mm.
Every single one.
Particularly in the in India and places like that.
Oh, yeah.
There are loads of not only are they ships, they're actually drawings of people inside these ships. They're in like
Mm.
glowing balls and suns and all sorts of weird and wonderful things.
Mm.
They're in, particularly in the Indian art, the ancient Indian artwork. There is loads of people flying through the air in things that can only be labelled as ships.
Wow.
Same as going back to the Dogon. They're before even, pardon me, the Sumerians and the Babylonians. They go back probably 13, 15, 1400 years earlier. And their whole belief system is based on the interaction with a universal or astrological being
Well,
and their interaction.
they basically had an accurate star chart of the Sirius system hundreds
Yes,
of years before it was actually even
correct.
discovered.
They were the first ones.
They knew of the existence of Sirius B before modern day astrologists even discovered it.
Correct.
It is actually embedded into their artwork. It is literally an accurate star chart of the complete Sirius system.
Oh
And
wow.
they also had a very intricate knowledge of the Pleiades. Now, that only came out during Greco-Roman times. Yet
Yeah,
they have accurate star charts even now that no one is willing to except NASA's coming around. But from up until this date, they're still saying that it was not what they interpreted it to be. Look up the Dogon, Dogon, and their cosmology and their belief systems and stories. It is absolutely fascinating. And check it out for yourself.
yeah, yeah. They're one of the
They
few
are the
peoples
beginning.
who
They are the beginning.
they openly admit that that their culture
Mm,
was as a result of alien intervention.
correct.
They call them the Star People. Their
Yeah.
entire culture is based on these beings who descended from the heavens and taught them everything.
Yeah. That's
Mm.
right.
That is their
They taught them
culture.
all about astronomy
Yeah,
and mathematics. Yeah, they've got written records of star charts that are as accurate today as they were thousands and thousands
yeah.
of years ago.
But the
That's amazing.
Sirius B is one of the more
Yeah,
recent star discoveries. They knew of the
true.
existence of Sirius B
Yes.
thousands of years ago, and actually have it
Yep.
recorded accurately in the Sirius star
Yep.
chart, right down to its position in relation to Sirius A.
Correct. Yes. So it goes back a long, long way, longer than what we've been led to believe. Does that answer your question?
It does. Yeah. I was just reading
I'm
the
trying to
that.
be succinct.
No, it does. Very much so.
Pammy says inside pyramids in Cairo remains inside or something. There are rumours that they have discovered something inside the pyramids, but it's one of them things that we're never going to get to the bottom of one way or the other. Another interesting thing is the elongated skulls. Now we do know that
Oh yeah, now let's
we
talk
do
about that.
know that there are certain cultures out there that do practice something called head binding that does
Yeah,
cause this elongated skull. But some of them, it is not just the length of the skull; it is actually the bone structure of the face and stuff
yeah,
like that. You can clearly see that they're not fully human, and that
Yeah.
no,
this is where a lot of people believe in early hybridization experiments between something that's come from space and us.
yeah.
Mm.
There are other, yeah, that's mostly in Africa. But it also is only for the head binding is solely for like a ruling class. There's certain people that can.
Hmm.
Others are chosen at birth to be, for example, like um, interpreters of signs and symbology from the stars, and they're growing up to read astrological signs and symbols and cyclical movements of the earth and the sky, but particular the sky. It dates following the stars dates back to the beginning of human history.
Hmm.
Orally,
See, What is
or
interesting
not.
with things like the stars in symbology is they are universal, right the way around the
Yes.
planet. You know,
Yeah.
there is significance importance in symbology connected to stars. Now, you
Mm.
know, there has got to be some kind of importance there to the people
Yeah.
involved for them to find stars so important. And this is where
Mm.
the arguments of, you know, visitations and oh shit, my other monitor just come on, sorry, where where the importance of this comes in, because you have to ask yourself, why are stars so important in symbology? You know, because they
Yeah.
are like a universal symbol. I know you can say, oh,
Correct.
ancient man looked up there and thought, you know, what are them glittering lights? But in the whole scheme of things, they wouldn't have been that important to ancient man because they didn't directly affect their lifetime. You know,
But
their day to day living. Something made the stars important to very early man.
Do you think maybe it's a
yeah.
map that was left behind?
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. I really
yeah.
do.
Mm.
I really do.
You, yeah.
I think there's been a lot of things been left behind as instructions and signs and symbols to be interpreted, but I believe that they've been done in such a way that they will not be recognised for what they are until the time's right.
Mm.
Mm.
I think that's how cleverly the symbology has been done, almost like the Da Vinci Code type film, where you know things have to be right, the conditions have to be right for him to work out the meanings, and I believe that is what's been going on for thousands of years on this planet. Sam's face is a picture. I keep looking at Sam's face as we talk
I'm
about
trying to
this.
figure out if she's just sleeping like she was last week,
No,
or
no, I'm listening. I'm actually, because I'm an ITC person. I'm actually even listening to the audio. You know,
Hmm.
I never
well,
switch off.
Yeah.
I
funny you
never.
should mention that. Also in Egypt, although it's not the first time, Babylonian, um, King David's time and others have got recordings of this. But there are in cuneiform and art on certain parts of the Great Pyramid that talk about sound and frequency and vibration. All the earlier cultures and stages of civilization, including the Mayan. I mean, look at the Mayan calendar. Much of the symbology, none of these cultures had interaction. Many were before, some after, but they've all got the same symbology around sound, frequency, and healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I do
Um,
believe a lot of the big discoveries that are going to come in the future in the paranormal area are going to be directly related to sound and frequency. I
I already
really do
believe that
believe that. Yeah.
100% with every inch
Mm.
of my being.
Yeah.
That's
Well, you,
why when Wicca, people that practice Wicca and paganism and do invoke um, magic with a K, sound is important, doing it the correct way. But as I raised the question on your show, Brett, and I was trying to build the case on Julie's last week, there is no reason to suppose that a Ouija board as symbology cannot be used for positive healing.
No, there isn't.
mm.
Absolutely done. And the amount of symbology in movies, I mean, particularly sci-fi movies, wow. I could run amok on that.
Mm.
I've
It's also
actually.
it's also interesting to hang on, Sam. Let me just say this, and then you can say what you. It's also interesting that if you know, to a lot of people who claim to have, you know, like paranormal experiences, and a lot of the time these people aren't directly connected to the paranormal. If you look at when they're interviewing in their houses, they've got big lumps of crystal and stuff as ornaments in their houses. And I don't think it's deliberate. You know, I don't think they've got them there for any sort of paranormal thing. It's more of a decorative thing. It does make you wonder what these crystals in connection to frequency are actually capable of doing.
Yeah.
Well, crystals and frequency go back
Yeah, yeah.
again.
What were you going to say, Sam?
The thing about symbolism and stuff like that, for me, I actually, before I started doing all this, I actually was an artist, and I use symbolisms in my art. And for me, it was a communication, and it was also sometimes hiding my inner feelings, but somebody else could get a different perspective on that symbol. Actually, there's a symbol right behind my head. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to bring it over and see what you actually interpret from it?
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, please.
That'd be good.
See, what Sam's just said then could also tie in with something else I believe in, which is racial memory. I believe we are born with this knowledge of symbology built into us. I think it's a universal thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of big. There we go. We've got a mask that's cracked open with a figure coming out of it and a hand reaching out.
See to me that to what that says to me, the first thing I got off that is somebody actually finally revealing their true self, breaking out of what what people perceive them as and becoming their true self. That's what I thought the second I saw that.
That's
reaching out to others.
Someone who's broken from the norm and is seeking truth.
I didn't even get the norm. I just got that they were hiding behind a mask, and they've broken free of it. And now that somebody's they're embracing what they are with the help of others. That's what I get off it. Sam. I don't know what it's supposed to mean.
That's exactly what it means. That's exactly what it means.
Well, we're all on the same page, close enough.
We were.
Yeah, I'm going to put it down because it's quite heavy.
Jesus, what did you make it out of? Concrete?
I was thinking brass.
I've got another one.
You should have done this, Julie. Now. You should have drawn. So actually, you can do this while we're thinking about it. Scribble some images down on paper and hold them up, and we'll tell you what we get off them. This should be quite interesting.
Anything random, or do you want me to put my own thought
just
into
totally, just totally random.
Okay.
It's a similar one, but it's a sort of an angel type figure that's coming from the top of it, coming out.
So there's the broken mask again. Is that right? Down the bottom?
Yeah.
And I can
see I'll get the emerging like a butterfly from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of new life.
Yeah.
A metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. A change.
You know. Sometimes
the wings. Yeah. I saw it.
Yeah, sometimes I used to come out with these symbolized art it was kind of inner thoughts. And sometimes when you made those symbols, you actually had to sit down afterwards and think, why did I actually do that? Because it's like a meditation. You go into a meditative state, you create the piece of art, but it's not until afterwards that you actually piece it all together.
It's true. It's no different. Even mathematics is symbolic.
And
yet it's a language on its own.
Yeah.
The keys you hit on your computer have a symbol.
Yeah, we done exercises in doodling, just getting a piece of paper and just...
Yeah.
And it's amazing what symbols that can come out of just not thinking and just doodling,
Mm-hmm.
just creating
Yeah.
lines and circles and
Yeah.
intertwining them and stuff like that, and then thinking afterwards, why did you do this, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
may look like a mangled mess to other people, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's got an inner meaning to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a big doodler, particularly when I'm trying to focus. I've got to. It's true. I have to doodle, and I always doodle. That's why I love abstract art. I'm going to slap you. What?
Huh?
I have no idea. What did I say?
Doodle.
Doodle is a slang for something else over here, Deb.
Don't tell me a pole.
Hence why me and Sam are like laughing.
Don't tell me it's a pole.
And when you sit there proudly announcing you're a big doodler, it is funny to Brits.
Got it.
You got it.
Never. Next time I come to England, never mention doodle unless I'm holding one.
Yes. Are you drawing the Mona Lisa or something there?
Give me time.
Yeah. The funny part is when you said about symbols and drawing them, I was thinking about that exact same thing leading up to this tonight, that somebody shows symbols of things and everybody in the chat can be prompted to write down what their very first thought,
Yeah.
emotion,
Yeah,
connection
this is
to
what we
it.
need to do. As soon as Julie shows this picture, everybody needs to say their first impression.
Oh, it's completely random.
But not just us. The chat has
Yeah.
to have their involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guarantee
sometimes
you nobody's going to have the same answer.
do you know we've gone into this age of emojis and stuff like that. So symbolism is a form of communication to us now, which is universal across all languages. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why it's always fascinating to me that as you get into the history of
This is
these
why
things,
I think they've got so
different
popular.
cultures.
This is why they've got so popular, or this is why I think they've got so popular, is because they are reaching back to something primitive in us. We respond to them on the primitive level. You know, this is how our language and communication began, was with images and symbols.
Yeah. It's all
And
about
this is why
communication.
this is why they're so successful. It's
You know,
literally
it's like when
going
you
back
send
to
a
our
happy.
roots.
Symbols are about it's communicating something.
Yeah.
You know, so is the example with the emoji. If somebody sends you one and it's upsetting news, you don't say laughing my ass off or send an emoji
No.
back that's laughing. You send one
No.
with a little tear or a laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Particularly if there's been a death in their family or what have you. It has a meaning and it has a context, and it is a form of communication. It's all of that wrapped up in one thing. It's just communicating a message. That's it.
No, Kanga, this isn't a test. It's just an experiment to see what people get off it. Come on then, Picasso. Let's see what you've done.
All right, it's completely random.
Now, to me, that, so I'll tell you what comes to me off that: anger and conflict. I'll get anger and conflict off that. That spiky thing is like attacking this, and that was the first thing that attracted me, was that spirally spiky thing. And to me, I instantly got anger off that.
It's a spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a flower ready to open. That's either a star or a sun. Is that the letter M up the top
It's
on the right hand side?
Yep.
it's an astrological. It's one of the astrological symbols. I don't know which star sign it represents. I can't remember.
It,
don't know
it
either,
looked
but
like that when I drew it, but I don't know what
right.
it is.
The first word that
solar
comes in,
flare.
You're supposed to say the first thing that pops into your head, not a complete art summary, Deb. I got anger and conflict. That was what jumped out at me. Summarise it in a few words, Deb.
The arc could be an arc of an elliptical of the Earth. Spiral. The confusion is coming from humans, and we can always there's always a positive, so it could be a star or a sun or representation. The box behind it makes me wonder. Yeah, I got it. Could be confusion with learning and clarity.
Right,
Hey?
Sam.
if I was to just look at it and say name the painting, what name would you put on it? I would put energize on it.
Okay.
Yes, the sharp lines in art often indicate anger, but they can also symbolize a sudden energy burst.
Yeah.
The box that I see at the back seems like to me a kind of a doorway, where also freedom, like the energy is coming from that box, which looks like a doorway.
Mm-hmm.
So releasing of energy, you know. The curls piece, it's curling towards that energy, so it's being attracted to the energy. That's what I basically see in that.
So you got energizing, I got anger and conflict, and Deb got a complete art summary, which I think ended up as, was it confusion?
Well, there's confusion, but there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, what did everybody say? Kanga said rebirth, happy and free. I think I suck at this. No, you don't. It just proves how everybody sees symbols and gets different things from them. Me and Sam got the exact opposite. I got negativity and conflict sort of thing, and Sam got energizing. And then Deb really weirdly went smack bang in between the two with confusion.
Rebirth is actually a good one.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
Kim said new beginnings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's the spiky thing. It was the amount of spikes in it that came through on me, and that was where I got the anger and conflict from. And Sam saw exactly the same thing, but went for the other side of it, the energizing side of it. But it's interesting how symbols just grab you on a certain level.
Yeah, we all
Shelley
see them
says beauty
differently.
in life. What do you see from your drawing, Julie?
I have no idea. Well, the first thing I drew was the center one, and that was supposed to be the sun. And then I started drawing the second one, and when I was drawing it, the spiral, I saw a flower in my mind when I was drawing it.
Which would be rebirth.
Yeah, so it could it hasn't bloomed as yet. So yes, rebirth. And then there's a feather, kind of the box. I don't know what the box was. I just drew it. But yeah, kind of like opening to the light, if you know what I mean. Like when you guys were talking about new beginnings and
you went down a similar line to Sam.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, Brett, remember the mysterious object that was left outside my my door in a bag?
Yeah.
That's a we went into a whole stream about this thing.
This is a good. Yeah, this is a good idea. Let everybody see what you all think of this.
This
To
is
me,
weird.
to me,
Okay.
I got. No, I ain't going to tell you what I got until she showed it you. But Sam
Okay.
knows what I think it represents.
Let me give you a backstory. I arrived home one day, and this wooden object, which seems to be of some sort of bog oak, and possibly looks a little bit on the uh, voodoo side, if you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
was hanging off my door in a plastic bag, and I never, to this day, do not know where it came from. And this was at the beginning of me collecting weird and supposedly haunted objects. But
Oh.
I got
Nobody's ever admit. Nobody's ever admitted to leaving this to her.
no,
It was just left as a gift.
yeah, and this person got into my apartment building. I don't know how, because we got security doors and everything, so I don't know how they actually I don't know how it arrived. So I'm going to get the object now.
Okay. This sounds interesting. Yeah. Mm.
Sam knows what I think it represents because as soon as I saw it, I thought that represents that.
Mm.
To me, anyway. You need to hold it up a bit, Sam, because the bottom half of it's. You need to put it against a light background.
Yeah, hold it back a little bit if you can. Yeah.
Can you see it?
Oh, that's interesting.
To me, what I said to Sam, to me it represents fertility, because to me it looks like a woman giving birth.
It looks like yeah, fertility. It's a positive. There's life in it.
Oh, like the
That
uterus on the
bottom
bottom,
bit
maybe?
looks like a flower drum or a womb.
Kim says it looks like a road runner.
There's
Exactly what I. That is exactly what I got off it, Kangaroo, a woman, a baby. It looks like a woman giving birth.
there's actually three people in this. Seems to be. But one
Yeah,
of them is interjoined. There's one down here that looks like they're pregnant. There's
yeah.
one
Looks
on
like she's giving birth.
there's one on top
Yeah.
here. There is one here with two legs here, but the head is joined to this other figure on top.
Hmm.
And I'll try to get it as much into the white background as I possibly can.
Oh, I see
Twins.
it now.
Yeah, I'd call that like a fertility symbol of some description.
Because what it looked like to me was the woman was squatting on the ground giving birth, and the other person was helping her. The top one was helping her take, lifting the baby away from her. Like, midwife giving birth. That's what it looked like to me. It was very much a fertility thing to me, is what I'll get off it.
Yeah.
Do you know, I thought I had absolutely nothing to contribute to this stream whatsoever. When I think about it, there's loads of symbols in my life through my art.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
but
Everybody does.
yeah, that was that mysterious object, which we done a stream on, and lots of people had different interpretations of it.
Me, I kind of got like a mother figure, mother and children, or like family
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
got from it. Yeah.
You could all, the way this figure on top, it's like an emergence into a spiritual world or whatever. There's
Yeah.
all different things you could take from this. You know,
Yeah.
Yes.
weird, very very strange.
Very
Not
cool though.
weird. Yeah, very,
Yeah,
very interesting. But yeah,
yeah,
weird. No.
yeah. We tried to get a match on
See you later,
Google,
Jackie.
and it looks like this is just
Hi, Jackie.
it's a one-off thing. It's somebody done this as a personal piece of art that just doesn't match anything that I've seen on Google. So, and it seems it's made from a bog. It's made from bog oak. Bog oak is oak that's decayed and preserved in bog.
Yep.
We get a lot of it here in Ireland, where we've got a lot of bog land. Way back in ancient times, the country was covered in trees, and these trees could be up to 2,000 years old. You know, you would see a lot of this bog oak in the garden that I visit the odd time.
Yeah.
You know, and that oak is extracted from the ground in bogland. In Ireland, they used to put they used to store butter in the bog,
Yeah. Well,
and it
they've
used
pulled up a
Really?
lot. They've pulled up a lot of bodies out of it recently. From like medieval times and even before.
yeah, you know. So that's that. I was a little bit freaked out when I first got it, but I think
It's a
somebody
really
else was freaked out about it more than me, and
Yeah.
dropped
It was a
it
really
dropped it
strange
off.
thing to have left.
You
I'm just
know.
It doesn't.
wondering if the wood itself holds any property or value to the meaning of it.
I was
Mm.
thinking a similar thing. I wonder if this special bogwood, uh, yeah, is symbolic of something as well. So what happens in a bog over there? You die, or what's the symbolism there if it is?
Um, I don't know. It's just the bog oak is
It's a natural preserver. The bogs. They
yeah.
literally
It's
preserve everything that sinks into them. They're like
yeah,
like the tar pits in America. They're like that, but like
Yep.
a more water and peat version. It's where you get peat from.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know. And what happens is the
Is
water
it
in
is it
the
rare?
well this here there's no match on Google. I think this was a by examining it seems to have been made with modern tools, but I don't think it is really old or anything like that. It seems to be modern tools and that. But you know, it's a mystery what the meaning behind all of this is. You know. But you know, there is these type of things are kind of there's a kind of a fear around them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
voodoo-y type thing, but I don't think it is in this case. You know?
No, I don't either. I don't get anything negative out of it
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah, yeah. From the bottom, the base of the bottom, it seems like it has been cut and carved with some sort of electric tool. So it's not that old, you know. But the symbolism may be very, very old. You
I
know.
think the symbol. I actually
Mm.
got it. When I first saw it, I said to Sammy, it reminds me of African art. It's got that African feel to it,
Yeah,
which is really odd.
yeah,
To say he's turned up in Ireland, it's very much got an African feel to it.
yeah,
Ah,
Yeah, I got that.
yeah. So a big mystery why it was left outside my house. I
Maybe
just
somebody
don't.
was just trying to offload it.
But it's kind of weird. I don't know. I had done videos of different things that I had. Boxes, dolls, different kinds of things, and then all of a sudden this turns up. You know, so I don't know.
I like it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
well,
like
Hey.
it too. I like it too. You know.
a lot of people in chat saying they're getting African vibes off it.
Yeah.
Yeah. To look at it does, yes, very much so.
Yeah, the very first time I saw it, I said to Sam that that looks like African art. It's
Yeah.
got, for me, it's got very much got an African feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's communicating a message of some kind.
Yeah,
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know? Maybe is it
it's definitely it's definitely very symbolic. It's definitely abstract.
Yeah, we've tried different angles on this to see if there's anything
Oh, now that's
different.
interesting.
Yeah.
Just hold it there for a second, if you would, please. Yeah.
That way, it looks like people plunging into hell.
Almost looks
No.
like a bell at the top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a bell
yeah.
or a church
Yeah.
or something that a hummingbird, those sorts of plants.
Actually, it looks like Darth Vader.
How do you
If you
get
move your
Darth Vader?
if you move your hand up, that bit at the top looks like Darth Vader in his cloak. Look, there's his head on
Oh,
top.
in other
Oh,
words,
he does too.
it's a self-portrait.
Yeah, sometimes in symbolism, if you turn the objects upside down or sideways, that's where the hidden message is.
Yeah,
Yep.
We've actually seen art where you look at the paint and you go, "What the hell is that?" And you walk back step by step by step, and then all of a sudden you see the picture at
yeah,
a
Yep.
certain distance. If you go outside an inch off that certain distance, the picture's gone. You know, it's kind of it's an illusion art, but the symbolism is there, but it's actually not visible to the human eye until you get to a certain point from the painting. And if you step outside that, the picture just disappears.
yeah.
You know?
I used to love them magic art pictures. They were really popular at
Mm.
one time.
Yeah.
You know? I thought I had nothing to contribute to the stream at all. It looks like I have.
See, the thing that this is the beauty about stuff, though, Sam. People say sometimes, I've got nothing to contribute in this chat. But when you start talking, you realise that whether you've got knowledge in the paranormal or not, there's always personal experience you can bring into it that you can tie into it.
It's-
It's more commonplace than you realise.
it's like what we said. It's like a universal language.
Yeah,
Oh,
Where
yeah.
we can all, yeah, you know.
That was a very cool contribution. And the pictures as well. It allows people to kind of think outside the box and look at things in a different way as well, instead of just assuming that something is supposed to be what everyone else tells them to.
yeah, exactly,
There's the magic word, assumption.
exactly.
Yep.
When you think about it too, you got a picture here behind me of a lady. Where is she going? What is she looking at?
I was actually looking at that when you came on, Sam, and I thought, why is that woman's dress on fire? Because that's what it looked like to me at first, and then I thought, oh no, it's part of the background. But that actually looked like she was on fire when you first came in.
Yeah, every
It's
piece
amazing
of
how
art.
you look at something and what catches your eye first.
Yeah, every piece of art tells a story of what's going through the artist's mind, and we may interpret that story to our lives in a different kind of way. It may tell a different story to us.
Yeah,
So it could tell a number of different stories to a number of different people. no matter,
Yeah.
depending on who that person is.
Yeah.
It can connect with them in some way. Art and symbolism is about connection.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
But we're talking about this now, but it makes you wonder: is this how like paranormal experiences work as well? Are they that abstract that everybody? This is why people see different things, because you're actually it's like viewing something abstract. Because
My
you
answer to
put
that would be yes.
you put two
Yeah.
people in a room during some kind of paranormal happening, and you can guarantee those people will give you two slightly different versions of what they saw and experienced.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Depending on how they handle the situation, depending on how they feel at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
down to life experience as well. The
Exactly.
thing that it all comes down to such a personal level.
And the thing with communication and art is a perfect example. It's a capture of something in a moment in time. For example, what Sam would have originally thought of that piece is not what she sees now or feels.
Yeah,
So over
Yeah.
time, at various stages, a piece of art will speak to you in some way, and at another point in your life, it will have nothing to say, or the
yeah.
interpretation of it has changed because you've changed.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Your life experiences, your your growth mentally and or psychologically, emotionally, and biologically have changed.
Hmm.
Therefore, what it said to you once is not the same as it'll say to you again. And
Kang,
communication is all about that.
Kanga says she has a challenge for the panel if you're up for it, and if you have a pen and paper, Andy. I've got a pen. I don't know whether I've got any paper here. I'll run upstairs and get some.
Well, yeah, I
I
can
do.
get some.
Give me a sec. I'll go and grab a pen and paper.
Sounds interesting, Kanga. Cannot wait to see what you're going to have us do.
Say what? Oh, I've just need a writing pad and a pen.
Thank you for everyone who's come in and is still with us and contributing. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Sure do.
Absolutely.
Trying to find a piece of paper where I don't have my address on it and dox myself.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
No.
Exactly, Shelley. Exactly.
Pocket Watch is asking, Julie, have you got a K2 or balls on any of the dolls tonight?
I've got the ball up here. I don't actually have it on because I finally fixed Hazel's hair. I did a little braid in her hair.
Oh, I like that.
I combed it all out for her and put a little braid
Oh,
in.
that's nice and funky. Oh, that gives her a completely different look.
Doesn't it?
Really, she does. When you turned her face around then, she looked a completely different doll.
She kind of looks happy now.
Yeah.
Now she has
So
her
if you
hair
were
done.
now just get rid of the crochet dress and she's fully up to date.
Exactly. I'm going to get her a little dress and see how she goes from there.
Yeah.
I would if I could, Shelley.
I have a piece here. While we're waiting, a couple of weeks before my friend died, she really wanted this piece, and then she asked me to keep it for her. And I don't know, maybe she She knew she was going. She knew she was passing away. And this is the piece that she had picked. It's a lady looking, but the big question is, what is she looking out at? She looking through to the future? You know?
I cheated and grabbed a coffee at the same
Does
time.
it come up on camera?
It does.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me, how do I do this? There we go. They can see it for a minute. Kind of reminds me of The Little Mermaid.
Hmm.
Well, at least she's balanced front and back.
That she is.
It had to happen.
Yeah. So, but everything you look at, there is a kind of a story that could be relevant to you, you know, and symbols in those images that are relevant to you, you know.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
that.
like Black Rose just put up a really good comment. It's like a piece of music that speaks to you, and yet it won't say anything to anyone else.
Yeah.
It's a subjective thing. It's a subjective experience of what's going. It's like everyone has a favorite breakup song or love song that reminds them of someone that they've been with or someone that they're still with or whatever. Music is the same. It's not. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What does Kanga want us to do with this paper?
All right, Kenga. What are we doing?
What's the challenge? I can make you a paper aeroplane if you want. Or an inflatable ball, or one of them open and close things.
What open and close thing, Brett?
You do it. We used to do them as a kid, and you ask questions, and then you
Oh,
open.
Chatterbox.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, my kids still make them.
Yeah.
Oh, don't look at me to make one. I couldn't make one.
Yeah, I can make them. They're easy.
Come on then, Kanga. What's my challenge?
Yeah, hit us with it.
Go Kanga. Go Kanga.
Visualize the chest, see it in your mind's eye, then draw what you see.
Like a treasure chest?
A chest.
Not that type of chest, Brett. Okay.
I knew he'd go there. I just knew he would go there.
A chest? You want me to draw a chest or what's in the chest? Does she want the chest or what's in the chest? Oh, God.
You got to visualize the chest being open and what you see
right.
inside and then draw it. Yeah.
Okay. I can't draw, by the way, so... I need to start it again. I saw a swirly vortex in mine. There you go. It ain't going to be detailed with me anyway, Kanga, because I can't draw to save my life. That's what I saw in mine, a swirly vortex. I think my first chest was better. God, what are you not drawing?
I've already drawn.
Let's have a look what you've drawn then.
A ribbon, a bracelet, a coin, and one of those pendants with a photograph in it.
A locket.
Yes.
All I got was all I saw was a purple swirly vortex in mine.
That looks like an intestine.
That's what I thought it was when she first held it up.
A what?
An intestine. That's what I thought it was when you first held it up.
The stomach.
Oh,
Mine's really small, but inside the chest is gem with a dagger.
All right.
mine was a very artistic swirly vortex. Like there was nothing in there. It was just sucking you in somewhere.
Is that a forest?
Yeah, with a little river.
Julie had to draw Narnia.
This is like a guessing thing about what's in the box without the actual box being present.
Yeah. Kim says she sees a baby in mine. That's a bit worrying. You see a baby in a chest. I see a road brick, and as I walk it, I'm walking through my life as it has played out. I just saw it sucking just a purple swirling vortex in mine.
So what does it mean?
I don't know.
We're waiting for Kanga to tell us.
I'm going to get sucked into a chest, basically. I could live with that. I could live with that.
Brett's like the bigger the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You didn't see my first chest I drew, did you, Julie? You were too busy drawing. That was my first one.
Yeah, I think I meant that.
That reminds me, I reposted your breastfeeding TikTok.
Did you?
On my Facebook.
Oh, did you?
Don't you think though it's weird? We were talking about breastfeeding hours before that popped up on my Facebook homepage. We mentioned
That's right.
We were talking about breastfeeding on your stream. That was why I posted it to the pair of you.
That's right.
And then that popped up on my Facebook a few hours later.
See, symbolism and synchronicity.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
There you go, Kanga.
I like the trees.
Yeah.
Little pine trees in the back. It's like my happy place. I love being in the trees and.
The point is to show the individual things people draw from a single word. Brett drew a human chest. Well, it was a woman's chest. Deb drew a treasure chest. I did actually think treasure chest, but I couldn't work out how to draw the treasure in it, so I decided with my swirly thing. Sam drew what's in a treasure chest, and Julie just proves it lives in a dream world. Drew Narnia. There you go.
I visualize. I'm what do they call it? One of those people who visualize.
Yeah.
Julie's Julie's was very Bob Ross with the three.
Yeah.
Reincarnated. When did he die? No, I'm not that good.
Yeah. See, I'm tactile.
Happy Peach.
But I had to have a dagger.
Yeah. Somebody's definitely watching and listening to everything Kanga, because every time I go on Facebook now, I get something Australian related. Every time, and I'll guarantee you when I go on my YouTube later on, something will pop up that is Australian related. And last week we were talking about breastfeeding, and then I went on Facebook after, and straight away there was that thing. And I thought, there's something going on here. Facebook spying on me on YouTube.
I wouldn't surprise me.
There's got to be some connection there somewhere. There's got to be some kind of connection.
In that live stream of yours, we were all three of us were talking about what we'd hate to lose, and I think Brett and I were both, our internet and our computers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I got my new computer, and Brett had the lightning strike, and that's what buggered up
and lost the internet
him all week.
Yeah.
So,
are you trying to tell us your mind? Go on, Deb.
It never occurred to me until a conversation I had with Julie about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that I never put the connection. I mean, just didn't even click until she said it, and then it just rang true. Was the night that Jackie was at Yulee Road, and I stepped across that I shouldn't, that I know is not required, but I needed the energy boost. And within a week, I've been laid up with a back injury.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a price to pay. 3 times 3. Yeah. There's always a price to pay.
Yeah.
Because it just came from out of nowhere. And until she said it, I hadn't put the two together.
It's just weird how it all works.
Yeah. We mentioned about losing my old computer's hard drive died in the arse, so I had to get this. Your internet was interrupted with that lightning strike, and thank God you're still with us. But at the end of the day, like Sam said, it's like somebody's listening and goes, "Oh, I can make that happen."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of listening, I made a note here from earlier on. We were in the middle of conversation. Around the 39-minute mark, could be before, could be afterwards, I heard a small whisper in a kind of a female voice saying Deb. Now, I could be wrong, but I just made a note of that. Often this happens on live streams where you get a whisper in the white noise of the stream. It's well known that live streams is used for experimental purpose. So, what stream, what connection does that voice come from? We don't know. Mm-hmm. I may have misheard it though. I just.
No, it's not the first time that's happened that I've gone on a live stream, and it has happened on Julie's channel quite a bit. When she puts the spirit box on, my name will come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name always comes up on Julie's spirit box.
Yeah.
My name comes up multiple times on Julie's spirit box.
Yeah.
And I always turn around and say, "Tell them I'm busy," but they still keep saying it.
Do you know what blew me away? When I think it was this doll came, and I'm saying this could be just coincidental, but when this doll came, and we did the spirit box session, and Brett, you were talking to it, and we were asking it all these different questions and that, and it was kind of responding. I thought that was quite freaky.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, because years ago, I used to be on the CB radio a lot. It was where I met Jay's mom, was off the CB.
Mhm.
But I used to do a lot of late night, CBing as you did because the airwaves were clearer. It makes me wonder now how many of these voices I heard on there that were quiet and in the background, were they actually other people on the CB radio, or was the CB radio acting like a spirit box? Because unlimited amount of times you'd hear some very faint voices whispering in the background saying things, and you'd just presume it was somebody miles away, not coming
Yeah.
through very clearly. And I've often wondered, since, were any of them actually not real people, so to speak, live people?
Well,
That's interesting.
um, with ITC, some of the older researchers, some of them were ham operators, so
Yeah,
they have a part to play in all of this in regard to EVPs and stuff like that. Because
yeah,
Mhm.
what we're using is radio frequencies with the FM AM band. The frequencies they're using is the same frequency, some of them,
yeah.
except for they have UHF, VHF, but at wider bands.
Hmm.
So that because they're so up in touch with all them frequencies. That's why they were very useful in the areas of ITC and that.
Yeah. Black Rose said they've had it on the CB as well. We used to go out in the car sometimes, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and drive up Cleels, which was local to, well, I say local, they're about 30 miles away. But we'd go up Cleels because it was an eye spot, and the amount of things you'd get through, early in the morning, and you'd just presume it was other people talking, and you could barely hear them. But, I do often now think, well, was the CB radio acting like a spirit box works? Were some of them actually communication from non-living people?
That'd be
Yeah.
good to run a test on one, wouldn't it?
I'd love to get hold of a CB radio and try it again,
My
rather than
dad
using
has
a spirit box.
Oh, pity
That-
I still haven't got my Prado because we had a really good whiz bang CB radio in that one because of the distance we used to drive
Yeah,
from here to the Pilbara and all throughout. You just never go remote without one.
yeah,
Yeah.
or even if you have an airband radio, like a
Hmm.
Texan 660, or actually have a tiny little multi-band radio which just picks up CB signals and stuff.
yeah,
It's like instead of the scanning method, it's like the DRB, direct radio voice,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
DRV. And I think ITC is going to head back towards that at some point.
yeah, yeah,
Mm. Well, as I've explained before, I used to, when I was younger, I hung around and had ham radios. And so listening to white noise and all that sort of picking stuff up, my ears are just tuned that way.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
this is why spirit boxes don't bother me, because I spent years on the CB radio. I got used to listening to it anyway. So
Yeah.
you just get used to it.
Mm.
Yeah, you
Spent
do.
years on the CB.
I can
Yeah.
remember being very young. My dad was a truck driver, and for many years, and I used to go, in the school holidays and keep him
Yeah,
company while he'd be delivering, and
yeah,
I'd hear all the CB chatter of them talking to each other and that. I
Yeah.
grew up with that. It was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kanga was on, in the chat and that other stream. There's a guy one of the hosts of the Power Awakening. He's looking into the DR60 voice recorder.
Voice recorder. Yeah.
Yeah, he's under the belief that it's like a dog chasing its own tail. It's recording itself and it's going around in a loop. and it's like a spirit box. The chip is kind of it's off timed as well, so he sort of
Yep.
it's one of his projects to where he wants to put the myths to bed once and for all, and say this is definitely what's happening here.
Yeah.
And if we can find that, we can you know, somebody like him can recreate that and use it in a spirit radio sense, if you know what I mean. So that would be very useful information if we can get to the bottom of it. You know.
Fairy says, "Why is white good, grey black bad?" I don't believe they are, and I always say to people, just because you see a shadow black figure does not necessarily mean it's in any way bad or evil.
No,
for all we know,
no.
for all we know, that that could be the best way they can appear to somebody.
Yeah, no. There's no positive and negative about either.
That's where it comes back. I actually brought this up on TikTok this past week too, and I said to them, left them with food for thought, and said, what if perhaps what a lot of people are seeing are in these shadow figures, what if they're negative spirits or just spirits in general that can't appear properly? And what if this is what people are saying are demons? What if they're not demons, they're just spirit, and they look different, you know?
Yep. I'm having a deja vu moment here. I do remember watching that. You know that I follow you avidly on TikTok.
I don't go on TikTok, so I don't see it.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's okay. But everything that we're touching on now came up, if you guys remember, on that silly 4.5, 5 hour broadcast that we did on your channel last week or the week before, Brett. We spent 5 hours nearly talking, and all of this came up. It was just a free for all.
Yeah.
And it's on Brett's channel, and it's called Aussies versus Poms or something.
It's called the Aussie Files.
Aussie Files.
Aussie File.
We've linked
Go and have a listen to that.
Go
and have a listen to that, and all of this came up, and we talked about. It was just an open discussion, and we leapt on all of this stuff in depth and not. So that's why I said I feel like I'm having when she mentioned the DR60, we touched on that in that broadcast. I think I brought it up, and it was just extraordinary. And that's why I said I'm sitting here thinking, can we just talk about that? You know, I'm thinking deja vu.
See,
but it's all connected.
That the DR60 was a perfect example on how the paranormal can get things drastically wrong. How paranormal groups can get things drastically wrong. Because the DR60 was recalled by Panasonic because it had got a design fault where it was recording its own inner workings. And even to this day, people still claim that it's demons growling through the recorder, and it's not.
Yeah, but it has been proven to pick up more EVPs than any other recorder. The issue is with the clarity. But what they're trying to do here is try to get to the bottom of why they're getting so many that so many EVPs are coming through on this. And it is a nightmare. It is a nightmare for analysis because of the clarity, because when you try to clean it up, you can distort what's coming through. Sometimes you have to tread very, very carefully. But
what you've got to ask yourself is, has it really got more, recordings than anything else, or is it just the fact because of its notorious reputation, paranormal teams were more liable to have one and use one? It's very subjective on whether it's actually picked up more than any other recorder. I think it's just the fact that paranormal teams were more liable to have one.
We have to look beyond a certain person that talks about DR60 all the time, which I'm
Yeah.
not going to mention here.
Yeah.
This goes back to when the recorder came out at first. Annabella Cardoso and people like that have worked with this recorder, have analysed a lot of the recordings from it. There's a lot of EVPs. The clarity isn't brilliant, but if they can get to the bottom, which is suspected to be a sort of an overclocking issue of the chip, they can then work forwards in working on the clarity. What do they need to increase the clarity of the recordings and stuff? You know, so it's going to be interesting.
The thing is, they can't really improve the clarity on a DR60 because of the bit rate they record in, which is extremely low. It brings in the element of pareidolia to such a level that even things that aren't actually speech will sound like speech.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is taking that information and producing a device like a spirit radio with those elements that they believe that is form the communication. If you can increase the bit rate above the 6, and it still produces communication, then they're on the right track. You know.
See, personally, I'm of the belief if you used any recorder with a 6-bit recording rate, you will probably find over a long period of time, if you did the analysis statistically, that a DR60 would not recapture any more EVPs than any other recorder recording at that bit rate. Statistically, I personally don't think that the actual electronics in the recorder or the way it's built would in any way influence communication through. If they want to communicate, they will communicate. I don't believe the DR60 was in any way magical enough to improve the chances of it happening.
Kanga's just asked a really good question. Oh, where did it go? Are there symbols in sound? Sam?
Symbols in sound. We have a visual spectrum of audio. Actually, audio can create pictures. There is actually one or two albums, music albums, that if you put them on a audio analysis, they actually have writing in the audio.
Well, you can actually do it with things like sand. You can put a bowl of sand on top of a plate that's vibrating, and you can create patterns in the sand just by altering frequencies. And it'll come up with all sorts of intricate and pretty patterns, sort of thing. So there is symbology in sound. It's just that it has to be converted to a visual form, obviously.
Yeah.
Because you can't see audio.
One of the most notable that came out years ago was, I remember people saying that they reverse engineered the Beatles' White Album, and there was subliminal messaging in it.
There was all sorts of claims by all sorts of bands.
I'm just saying, but there's another way to potentially communicate subliminally. Yeah. Marketing, TV, it's all the same. They use subliminal visual messages all the time.
There was actually a lot of the rock bands. There was claims that if you played the record backwards, Satan would give you a message. To the point that I believe they actually deliberately did it, and I can't remember if it was a Black Sabbath record they did it on, but there was a rock group that actually embedded a subliminal message into a thing just to take the pee out of everybody claiming
it. I saw that.
Yeah. It was Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath's Paranoid.
Yeah.
I seen a video a couple of weeks ago, actually, where there was a pentagram in the visuals of the audio, but you have to go through Audacity and you have to have some other sort of a program. to see the. Do you know the way we see a wave format on a visual spectrum?
Yeah.
This goes beyond. This goes beyond the waveform. You see a kind of a grady, different shadows kind of thing on higher and lower frequencies, and that you see that, and it would have these symbols and pentagrams and stuff coming up on the end of the album and that.
Yeah. See, a lot of it's like Zozo. All Zozo symbolism goes back through a rock group. That goes back through Led Zeppelin, which goes back to Saturn. It's all Roman symbology.
Correct. Yeah.
Did you run off and
Led
deserted
Zeppelin
us?
were very big and well known for that.
Yeah.
I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan, but not because of that.
You know, that is where all the symbology from Zozo came from, because the guy who invented Zozo, and let's be perfectly honest here, Zozo does not exist, was invented by a guy who was a massive fan of Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
So has the frequency high or low got to do with whether it's good or bad? There are frequencies that can actually kill you, Kanga. They're not, but they're not good or bad in the term of good or evil. It's just that, they're not good if they're subjected to the human body. And I believe that's high as well, low as well as high frequencies. They can kill you. They can kill you.
I nearly ended up in hospital last month, actually. I had a very bad vertigo attack. Working on a audio bank, which as much frequencies that I possibly can, but I put too many frequencies together and I came up with a cocktail of bad things that vibrated my inner ear. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So we touched on frequencies last week. There's actually a frequency called the brown frequency that actually makes you go to the toilet.
Well, if you think about it, we're somewhat stupid like 95% water. Any sort of sound frequency passing through the human body is going to have a massive effect on it.
Oh yeah.
We are basically a walking water sack. When all if you grind it down to the most basic level, we are literally sacks of water walking around. We are extremely susceptible to frequencies.
It's very strange that a lot of these paranormal shows where they go to a property, a house, and the family saying we're experiencing this and that, and we're seeing these and this and that, and they're not going into the analyzing of the frequencies of the house, because the 18 hertz will vibrate the eyeball in a human and make them see very strange things. They call that
Black Rose says, with spirit boxes, what do you think the difference is in playing forward and backward? Some say it's better in reverse. It depends what you mean. If you mean about forward and reverse sweeping, there's absolutely no difference.
No difference at all.
If you're meaning about reversing the actual speech itself, there is a better argument for doing it in reverse, because technically you shouldn't really be hearing English words if the speech is reversed. If you're getting full English sentences with reverse speech, then you're getting something. Yeah, but as to forward and backwards scanning, there's absolutely no difference.
Yeah, forward and backward scanning is basically going at the beginning of the frequency to the end of the frequency and going, backwards. There's no difference in that. There's no difference in the audio. But reverse and forward, as in reversing words, is a different story altogether. Now, people have used reverse pedals, but it's not suitable for radios, because radios, the reverse pedal, it's designed for music, a stable audio. Radios on that's scanning is not stable audio, but there is circuitry that has come up recently that actually reverses each word, and these people are doing live radio broadcasts where you have the ordinary spirit box where the audio is going into a reverse circuit and coming out backwards. Yes, they're getting communication forwards. So we're eliminating pareidolia by flipping the audio. What you see on what you see that's highlighted in the paranormal is people getting recorded audio and flipping it. It's not as effective as actually the radio flipping that audio, because you're open to all sorts of questions around fraud when we're talking about recordings. With the radio, there's no question. It's the flipping radio. You've got no control over what is coming through, you know. And when you reverse it, you've even got less, you know. So that is a good step forward to it. Somebody was actually mentioning too about band hopping. So we're going from, which I've never seen, haven't seen done yet, going from FM, medium wave, long wave, in a random sort of way. So, you know, we're most of our spirit box, like PSP7, start at the beginning, go to the end of the frequency. I have a box that sort of, with EMF, hops in and out of different frequencies. But I haven't seen a box where they've skipped from FM to AM, medium wave, short wave, long wave, and all that kind of thing. But people are actually looking into that now as well. So that's going to be interesting as well, you know?
Yeah.
Felicity Graham just asked an interesting question, and we touched on this in our talk last week, where she asked that the military are using frequency now.
Oh yeah, they've been using it for a long time.
Agreed.
It's been used as a weapon for an awful long time.
Yeah,
what a lot of people don't realise, there are actually species of whale that can kill you with their song.
Yep.
Yeah. If you look into the HARP experiment, that is one of those. HAARP.
Yeah.
Where they claim that they actually can influence different weather conditions. Actually,
conditions.
These are basically massive antennas that were transmitting and stuff like that.
Good night, Fairy.
Frequencies into the atmosphere.
Good night, Fairy.
And tinfoil hat theories about mind control and stuff like that. I used to watch a lot of Jesse Ventura, but all the stuff seems to be removed on YouTube. You know,
it's somebody just asked up on out. One of the other questions was about, you know, your spirit boxes and personal preferences. It is weird how people, you know, get a personal preference for different things on a spirit box. Like, I always liked 250 megaseconds, you know, as a scan speed, and you'll find everybody who uses the box has a different thing where they get their comfort zone. And, you know, I always seem to get my best communication between 250 and 300. You get people who do it at 50 and they get good, and then you get the people who do it at 500. I don't like the slower speeds because it massively increases radio bleed over, where you end up getting you know, pretty much complete sentences babbled through the radio. But I always found, for me, it was round about between 200 and 300 milliseconds was the best for me.
The guy that made my box here, actually, something fantastic happened with it that he didn't know himself. His actually friend discovered it. Is that when you went to the highest speed and went the full way and reset it, this button here, it possibly overclocked the circuitry, and you got what something like a direct response mode where none of the radio was coming through at all, and every so often something would come through answering your question and stuff like that. It's not with the direct response mode on this. It's gone beyond fast, and it's just basically possibly just overclocked the whole thing. It's just went past the point of scanning at this point. And actually, the creator of the box actually didn't know anything about it. It was his friend that accidentally discovered it, you know? And I didn't know anything about it, and I actually discovered it myself, you know? And that's the story behind that. It was his friend that came over one day and says, Rob, did you see this, you know? When you turn the thing right up to the end, you got no scanning and you got these responses coming through. It's great. So they kind of nicknamed that direct response mode.
Yeah.
You know, but it was an accidental discovery, actually.
Sam, you were saying last week that out of that box, that everybody that your friend has made the box for has picked up the same name or names. Emma and
Dave and
Ed.
something else.
Dave.
Ed.
No, Ed.
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 Okay.
Yeah, I got Rob coming up an awful lot too.
Rob, that was it.
Yeah. Ed has been pestering Rob's communication for a long time now. And he's supposed to be a spirit connected with the property that he's living in. And this conversation came up during the week, possibly because Rob is putting his energy into making the box. He's imprinting some of that energy into the box as he's making it. There's a couple of people with tinfoil hats thinks that something negative is going on. To me, it's nonsense. It's just, I think maybe it's just a transfer of energy. But it's been very interesting. Not everybody, I can't prove that everybody is getting that, but there is other people that's getting the same edge coming through. And I recently started getting edge now coming through on different devices, which I didn't before. It's kind of weird.
See, this is the thing now, because we don't know for sure what's going on. Is that a demonstration that things are jumping? You know, you're bringing energy into your house that's jumping to something else, or is it the fact that we are actually causing the communication ourselves? You know, because we're expecting to hear the word Ed, we're suddenly starting to hear it. Because you know yourself, Sam, the amount of times you can talk about something before doing a spirit box session and then get that word appear on a spirit box, which has got to be, you know, you've got to ask the question then, is it somebody listening to us and saying it so we can hear it, or is it ourselves directly imprinting it into the, you know, onto the frequencies so it's coming through? Who knows?
What I started doing now is asking less questions and just listening. And every so often I put out a recording. I might ask one or two questions to get a response to those questions. But I find myself, I ask too many questions at times and I talk over the responses. So sometimes I might put out a recording where I don't do anything at all. I will just sit there and just monitor the situation.
This is why you should record it all through your Tascam. Because I've got mine set up so if I talk, my audio is recorded on the one channel and the spirit box is recorded on the other. So if ever I talk over the top of a response, I can actually turn the talking channel down and you... Shut up, it's the postwoman. And you can literally just hear what's coming out the spirit box. She was waiting to hijack the postwoman again. Will you be quiet? Enough.
Crap out of me.
I've got Desmond's, really bad Desmond's in my house.
Obviously.
And I forgot my line. I forgot what I was saying now.
Well, I want to go back a step and ask Sam a question when you were talking about tin foil. Do you know how when you put clothes in a dryer and they generate static and they cling
Yeah.
together?
Yeah.
I actually use Glad tinfoil stuff and roll them up in little balls, and I can go get a couple out of the dryer, and we've got like 6 in there,
Sorry,
and
Lou.
that tin foil negates the static, so the clothes don't stick.
Yeah, it's a
Back in
conductor.
a sec.
We actually, the tinfoil is a conductor. We actually we used to use tinfoil as a Faraday shield around recording
Correct.
devices. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did have the Faraday, tent for reel to reel. This was when I was at school. My science teacher was a secret uh, paranormal investigator. He was massive into ITC and stuff like that. And he let it slip in class one day, and I just pestered him with questions. And then he invited me to stay back after school and do some EVPs with him and direct radio voice and stuff like that. And he taught me a lot about recording and stuff. We even tried wire, because we were in a school and a laboratory. Those devices were in the lab, to explain how things record.
You're not.
So we had reel to reel wire, and that I think the first EVP was recorded on wire by a priest. I think it was
Yeah.
one of the first. Yeah,
I've heard that.
we
Is the
we we.
offending article? I do apologise.
Oh, right. But we used to use tinfoil where we used up all the other Faraday cages. We used to use the tinfoil around recording
Coco.
devices to eliminate stray frequencies going into the recording device itself, sort of thing.
Mm.
But
I just had to go and rescue the male.
From the dog.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do apologise for that, guys. I forgot the postwoman was due.
That's all right.
She actually
The other
she sits behind the door now, waiting to mug her. She's turned into a right cow.
The other question I want to talk about, again, I feel like we're having this repeat conversation from last week. When we talk about frequencies and listening to the themes in the chat, looking at the themes in the chat, we touched on how far back the military have been using, for example, during the Second World War and even before, ESP and telepathy for secret programs, spying, super soldiers, what they've done with genetics, and just have a talk about that, because that's symbolic as well. So we're still staying on target, on
Yep.
subject, but it's a lot deeper than people think. It's not just a little thing.
Oh, it was rife in the Cold War. It was absolutely rife. The Chinese, the Americans, us Brits were doing it. There were experiments in Australia. It was rife.
Yeah, Pine Gap.
Paranormal spying.
I'm just going to duck off for a minute.
Okay, it'll be interesting, in years to come if it turns out, that we are imprinting stuff onto the spirit box that we've spent years talking to ourselves.
Imagine that.
And we've got to be prepared to accept the fact that could be one final explanation, that we've been doing it ourselves.
It could be a possibility. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. We could have spent years just talking to ourselves.
Yeah, but there's been earlier communications with actually engineers that passed away, and the information coming through was only information that that engineer would have known when he was alive. You know, Bill O'Neill is an example of that, where he
Hi,
is
Janet.
over 20.
You need to get Janet to hide off screen and start barking now to frighten everybody. I'm feeling guilty.
If you want to talk about star seeds and reincarnation, there's your girl.
What? Reincarnation, yeah.
And star seed.
Yeah. I got heavily into that for a while. A couple of years back.
Do any of you believe you've actually lived a previous life or remember one?
I can't say that I remember one, but I believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, I do. Sam?
Yeah.
Possibility, because what was that?
You froze. What was that?
Oh, that's creepy.
That was Brett's voice, I believe.
Yeah, but I think it's coming from Deb.
On Bluetooth, I can just talk normal, saying I'm echo.
Oh my god.
Can you hear it?
It is our voices.
I am an alien.
I am your father.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true. Don't you think it's freaky? We've been talking about frequencies and sound, and now this happens.
I know, right?
I'm going to see if I'm the problem here.
No, it's not you. Hang on, let me mute now and see if it's me.
You're doing it?
So it's not me then, because I was muted then. Sam was muted. It's got to be Deb.
Let's try Deb.
Let's try Deb.
It's
Yes,
Deb.
I am.
It's Deb.
It's Deb.
How weird though what we've been discussing, and now that happens.
That's trippy.
I am a spirit from a different dimension.
Look, I am your father.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
That was creepy.
That is freaky. You know, to be talking about, you know, frequencies and sound and stuff, and then we've never had that happen before on a stream ever.
Never.
When it first started, I thought, that's me. And then I heard Sam, and I thought, that's Sam. What the hell is going on? I thought Deb had turned on some voice changing software.
Well, one of the experiments that people have been doing in the white lab coat of ITC is doing a live stream recording where we just let the audio intermix, so no headphones or anything like that. So it's a big garbled mess, and see what comes from it, and do recordings of it, similar like a spirit box.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We were thinking of doing that with Zello, where we turn off the noise suppression, and just because when you turn off noise suppression in the Zello app, you can communicate with another person on Zello, but it warps and things like that. So we were thinking of looking into doing some experiments with that as well.
Yeah, it's stop Kanga because Julie's muted Deb for now. If Julie unmutes unmute Deb a second.
Hang on, we'll try it.
We're probably going to get Darth Vader again.
I will say in the depths of hell. Is there? Is there anybody there?
Demon. It didn't work.
I will bring you to the depths of hell.
Hell.
I am a demon with
That's
massive
just creepy. That's creepy.
Would it be great for any?
What is causing that?
I don't know. She said she disconnected her wireless headphones and it just started doing it.
It would be good ITC experimentation, though, wouldn't it?
It would actually to see if there's anything coming underlying it as well.
Yeah, true.
It's a live spurt box, folks.
Yeah.
See if we get anything come through.
Perhaps we've upset somebody on the other side talking about frequencies. Perhaps we're getting too close to something. You know, like I always say, when you ask people, you know, what's it like on the other side, and they refuse to answer, it's that kind of thing. We're crossing a boundary that can't be crossed at the moment. So they've sabotaged Deb to shut us up.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually,
what a weird time in the stream for it to happen as well, though.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
Go on, Sam.
I've had a couple of days in a row now where I've asked, "What do you see in front of you?" You know, sometimes simple, stupid questions.
Yeah.
What do you see in front of you right now? 3 occasions, 3 days in a row. Light. I got the answer. Light.
Yeah.
Light.
So yeah. So there must be something to do. Do you know
but
what
light itself is just another form of energy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's very interesting. You know, people say walk into the light and stuff like that. Maybe there is something to it, you know?
Yeah.
I do ask now, what colours do you see in front of you? Name some of the colours of the objects you see in front of you right now. Do you know?
Well,
I know sometimes
when I had that NDA, it was proper bright white light, but it was weird because it was really dazzling white, but it didn't hurt your eyes. I can't even explain how it worked. It was, you know, I was just in this massive white area. You could see no walls or nothing, and there was just me on the bed and that bloody woman with the ginger hair and a desk in the middle of this massive white expanse. That's all it was. There was nothing. There was nothing else. It was just like being inside a giant white box. You couldn't see. You couldn't see walls or floors or anything. It was just white.
Just white.
Yeah, I'm getting responses to a stupid questions. It's not so stupid, but it does sound stupid. Who's dead, me or you? And a couple of times they think that I'm dead and they're alive.
Yeah. See, I've always said, you know, that, you know, could we actually be talking to people in other dimensions? And we're presuming they're dead, and they're presuming we're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've often thought something like that too. I'm like, you know, wouldn't it be strange for us to die and find out that we've been in some in-between place? I don't know. I'm right out there.
I heard somebody say during the week, which I thought was pretty true. We're all spirits with a human experience.
Yeah.
Going through
absolutely.
Yeah, and I do believe that anyway, and I think that's one of the biggest arguments for reincarnation, because I honestly believe we physically choose what experiences we want to have the next time around, and we put ourselves into the position where we're more liable to experience.
I believe that.
Them. I genuinely do. I think we're on a constant until we reach a point where we no longer need to come back.
Yeah,
that's what I personally believe.
I do too.
Oh, Deb's going to unmute in a minute, and we're all going to turn into frigging Doctor Who and the Daleks again.
It's you, Deb. You're causing the echo. Oh,
I am a demon.
Your audio has totally gone to pot, Deb.
Yeah, into the shadow.
I can't understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
you sound drunk.
Can you hear it, Deb?
Is there anybody with us?
Can't hear it
We
at all.
are the Lollipop Men, the Lollipop Men.
I think we've discovered a new communication here.
Sarah, Glitch, you want to say hello?
Drop out of the stream, Deb, and come back in again. Okay.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I love it.
That was weird now.
That is weird.
That was really weird. My God.
Because she was hearing the audio perfectly normally, but we were getting everything played back slowly.
Oh, really? She heard it normal?
Yeah, because she was, as I was talking to her, she was answering me.
Oh.
So she was hearing the audio normally, but everything she said came back really slow, and she was also feedbacking what we were saying really slow as well.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, the speed was really slow.
Yeah.
Kanga says Deb sounds normal now. Not to us, she didn't. What Deb was saying was literally slowed down to like a quarter of the speed.
Mm.
I'm actually hearing a little bit of my own voice.
That's never a bad thing.
A slight echo, like.
There's still a delayed echo on everyone's sound. Hang on, I forgot to mute my YouTube, but I don't think my YouTube was... Is that QD?
Yeah, I've muted mine too.
That might have been me, because I forgot to mute YouTube, but nobody had moaned about it before.
I turned off my YouTube altogether, but I'm still hearing my own voice here.
I've been hearing a slight echo whole stream, but I've been fine with it. It doesn't bother me.
I can't hear one, which means...
brand new mute, I'm hearing a static sound all the time, but when you mute, it's completely clean. So there's some sort of bleed in there somewhere.
Hang on, let me mute a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely perfect. There's some sort of... I noticed that last week as well. There is static on Brett's system somewhere.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a bit...
This is all feeding through a mixer, so I'm going to have a look at my mixer and see if there's something going on there.
Yeah,
hang on, hang on, let me have a look. It might be that it's duplicating my mic. Hang on a sec. I might need to stick my mic into a separate feed. Let's have a look. See, I've actually got it muted. But really, I suppose I should feed it through as a separate one. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Has the echo stopped now?
No.
Who?
Because I've actually stopped feeding the mic through the mixer now.
No, and I can still hear that static. When me and Julie were talking to each other, it was like a phone call with no background sound at all.
Mm.
I think you might be you're taking in the noise of around you. It's probably very, very powerful or something.
It shouldn't, because I've got my headphones on and
Yeah.
everything's muted. I'll have to have a look. I'll look at this mixer later and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, it's not
I
too
daren't
bad
mess.
now.
I daren't mess with it now because I'll end up cutting myself off the stream altogether.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Where is Debs?
I don't know. She disappeared.
But
Maybe
it's
she's in
definitely,
another dimension.
it's definitely Deb slowing the audio down.
Yeah.
Maybe
But that was
she is in another dimension.
It was definitely freaky. All I heard her say was, I've disconnected my something, and then it just went into complete slowdown. Hang on.
I'm gonna bring down my volume to see if I can reduce sound.
Sleep well, Luna. Can't hear you at all now, Brett. Can't hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Is the echo still there?
Yep.
1, 2. Yeah.
That's weird.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh well. It's not overly bad, like.
It's not bad.
Hang on.
I've heard worse streams, you know what I mean?
How about now?
Oh,
1, 2.
1, 2.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I've turned the gain down on the mic.
1, 2. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
No,
Yeah.
it's, I'm hearing a little bit, but it's not as bad as it was. It's an improvement, actually.
I've dropped it down another bit, so it should be a bit better.
It's perfect.
1, 2.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Yeah, I've knocked the gain down on that because I ain't got. I'm getting it when I'm paid at the end of the month. I'm getting me a boom arm, so I can have the mic right against my mouth and turn it right the way down. Then.
Yep.
But I've knocked the gain down, so it shouldn't be picking up as much stuff now.
No, and Pocket Watch even said that the buzzing's gone now too. The slight buzzing that was in it.
Yeah, it's cleaner.
Yeah, I've knocked the mic because it's an Elgato Wave thing, but I've got the gain up.
Yeah.
I can hardly hear you now, Brett. You should still be hearing me roughly the same. I can get a bit nearer to the mic if you want.
I can still hear him okay, Kenga.
Yeah.
Deb must have run away. She's gone.
I wonder if she got an internet problem. But what was weird, it was feeding a video stream through perfect. But her audio stream had been slowed down to a quarter of what it should have been. And it was
just the audio.
But it was also fully feeding back everything we said.
Yeah. It's a bit like those experiments that ITC. It's an audio loop, something similar to. Did you ever hear of a video loop, where you connect your television to a camera, and you have your camera recording the television, and the television is showing what's recording, and it's just going around in circles.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of videos on it. That's similar to that, but it's in an audio way, where the audio is recording itself. A bit like the DR60, actually.
I'll pick my mic up. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, it's very clear and the background is actually disappeared.
Because this is how it's supposed to be, but it's on a little stand at the moment, look. But really, it should go on a boom arm. I'll just stand here holding my thing like a lollipop.
You're like a sports commentator.
Yeah. Because this is how this is how close it's supposed to be, basically.
Yeah, I'm a foot and a half away from mine. I should actually be closer as well, like this.
Yeah. Yeah, when I've got my boom arm, this is where my mic will actually be, so it'll be easy for me to talk then.
Then you'll have the whole professional setup.
I'm getting me a stream deck as well the end of the month.
Oh wow.
So you just press the buttons instead of having to fiddle around with the computer at all. Everything's done by just pressing buttons.
We'll be fancy then.
Yeah, well, it's actually made by the same company who does the mics, Elgato, so which is also part of Corsair, which is the majority of what my computer's built out of. So it'll all be interworking, hopefully.
Yep. Maybe they'll sponsor you then, Brett.
Yeah, rather not.
Nudge. No.
Stop waving your thing around in front of the ladies, Brett. Lol. Yeah, but I'm going to get me the road arm I'm paid the 3rd of the month coming up, so a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And then I'll have an arm like Sam's.
Mine's bigger than yours. Look. That's actually my recording mic, and basically all it is a very slim line.
Yeah.
And I use that for actually EVP recordings and stuff like that. This is my stream mic.
I was gonna get a Go XLR. Have you heard of them? Mixer with it, but you know it was going to cost me about 600 quid just for the mic and setup, and I thought, you know, I really don't want to be paying 600 quid for just to get a mic system.
I have a mixer, but it's probably so old. It's probably got valves in it. No. And my friend in Belfast has a whole room dedicated to audio, and I want at some stage to get down and start experimenting with audio about layering and stuff. How do you strip away layers of unneeded audio where you can get down to the EVP? But this thing is it's like NASA. You go into this room and it's just buttons everywhere. Yeah. And it's the old-fashioned, big, massive units. You know, today it's all computerized and it's all compacted. But way back, radio stations had all this big sound equipment, and she's into that older valved circuit boards with the graphic equalizers and the physical buttons. You know.
I've had to put this mic down because it's got a solid metal base and it's getting heavy. So what I'm going to do is slide my keyboard forward so I can just fit my mic in right by my mouth. So I should still be louder, but hopefully you shouldn't get the buzzing now. So you should still hear me okay. Can you still hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Now Pete, will you shut up? No bloody pizza man's delivering pizza thing through the door.
Get it, Coco.
Don't encourage her. She don't need any encouragement, thanks.
Wonder what you're.
It weren't the postie, it was some guy shoving bloody pizza leaflets through the door.
I wonder would Alexa pick up if we started calling out Alexa stuff through your headphones.
No, because she's not working at the moment because they've changed me router. I don't have time to set her up before the stream started.
All right.
So Alexa currently ain't even working. I'm just gonna have to go quiet a minute because Jace wants me shop order for thingy. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. Just waiting for Deb to come back up.
Yeah. But you know, I came onto this stream wondering I've nothing to give here because I'm into the using of electronics that people invent, and that is about where I specialize in that. And it turns out, I had symbolism in the art world. You know?
Exactly. You surprise yourself, don't you?
Do you know what? The art school I went to, I wasn't always as strong as I am now, and I actually had mental health issues, and I actually was on television because I was in this school
Mhm.
uh, to do with mental health, and the school was art-based mental health therapy, and I actually picked up from the teacher by walking around all the students. You know, they're sometimes asked to draw anything. What's on your mind right now? And you go around and you study the sharp lines, the different colors, and you're able to. It's like reading the minds of the people.
Yeah.
There was one guy, and in the beginning I've seen the most demonic stuff that I've ever seen. I've seen a demon, right, with the mouth open. Underneath that was another demon with the mouth open, and it was kind of like a tunneling effect.
Mm-hmm.
And we were saying, this guy, there's something seriously going on there. Within the year, he went from drawing the darkest demonic stuff, to painting pictures of sheep and the countryside and beauty.
Wow.
And a completely transformed person. This guy came in. He didn't communicate with anybody. His face was unreadable. He was that, and he was shaking all the time. But some of the stuff that I've seen was the most demonic pictures I've ever seen. And he went from that to peaceful and beauty within the year, all through art. And it was like a
It's
picture.
amazing what a joint will do for you.
Yeah,
Art is really good therapy.
yeah, art.
It's used commonly now, and it's in a lot of
It
areas.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get some sort of a picture of a person's mind through their freestyle art. And I learned from the teacher how to read people's minds when they're asked to do an exercise. Just paint whatever you have in your mind's eye right now, and you just keep going around, walking around. You look at the person's face, you see what impressions they have, expressions they have, and you look at the art piece. Is it smooth lines? Is it sharp lines? Is it dark colors? Is it very dark reddish? You know, there could be anger in there, or is it blending perfectly in a smooth, calming matter? You get all those feelings through those pictures, and it's like a picture into the soul. It's really, really interesting stuff, and I've learned a lot from that, even though I was one of the people with the mental health issues.
Mm.
I was one of
See,
those people.
that wouldn't work for me because I can't draw. That just get stick men.
But
Make
but
of that
some
what you will.
but some of these people were not very good artists.
Mm.
Some of them were fantastic. They were absolutely fantastic. So there was all different kinds of levels. Some of them were pretty basic. I know one guy. He was not much further than stick figures. It was like child's paintings, but we could still pick up a lot of information from these childlike pictures. You know, like you get mommy and daddy, and mommy would look like a triangle with a head. Those kind of things. Hello, Deb.
Say something, Deb.
How does that sound?
Oh, that's
Perfect.
better. We can hear you now.
Perfecto. Yeah,
What
it's
were you
actually
doing to us?
Say again, Julie.
nothing. It's all right. When you should have heard I don't know if you went back and watched it a little bit, but you should have heard your audio. It was like really slow and
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I disconnected my ear. I just turned off the Bluetooth, and then you guys started saying I sounded like I was drunk.
yeah.
And so did we, because you were feeding back all our audio as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really weird.
So we all started talking to you as Darth Vader, which was quite funny.
We did.
Yeah, it
Brett-
created
Yeah.
some sort of a loop.
Yeah.
Funny we were speaking about that because we were talking about the DR60 recording in a
Yep.
loop. That's exactly what's happened there.
Yeah,
You know?
and then it
I tell you,
happened.
it's starting to get spooky.
Yeah.
Talking about these things, and suddenly, bang, something will happen. It's really, truly, from last week to this week, it has been absolutely funky all
That's right. I
week
just
with
said somebody's
everybody's
trying to
issues.
silence us, Deb. Somebody's trying to shut us up.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, next week's going to be interesting, then, isn't it?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't
Oh, is that
wait.
strip week?
No.
Oh God,
Well-
Brett, don't go down that road, Roos. We already have enough of that already.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
I
not
don't
going into
want
any
the
details
visual.
there.
I don't want the visual of that.
I
because
don't
I'll
want
be
it either,
trauma
but
therapy for life.
I can't unsee what I've already saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My other monitor's just turned on again.
I have no idea what happened. All I did was turn my Bluetooth off. Next thing, and everything went bizarre. All my Bluetooths on my phone and my iPad were off. I couldn't get back on the iPad. I've tried again here 3 times, so I just turned it off. Tried to get on the iPad. Wouldn't. Normally, I can do it, no problem.
Do you know
It wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, what am I doing? And so I lifted the lid on this, and it came back, and I just went bang, and up I came.
Do you know, it's funny, us as paranormal people, do you know, in other streams they would say, sorry guys, the audio's messed up. We actually embrace these things, and we say, well, you know, that this is interesting because it's part of the paranormal, this audio looping and things like that. We just embrace all the mishaps that happen to us, you know.
We do.
It was funny that the audio cocked up and we all turned into Darth Vader and Desmond. And then we finally finished off with a bit of Arnie as the Terminator.
You might be able to use that. You might be able to use that audio, Julie, in your intros and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to that now.
It looked like you were actually hearing us perfectly normally. But
I was.
As soon as you answered, it was slowed down to about a quarter of the speed. So everything you said was at quarter speed, and then everything we said to you were feeding back to us at quarter speed.
I'm going to have to go back to that. That would have been funny.
It was quite funny.
I have one of them Sony recorders. It's a little round thing. No, I don't see anybody else using it, but it's a little round thing. It's like a little disc, and on the back of it you can play back slow or fast. And the slow sounds really creepy, and then when you put it fast, it sounds like the chipmunks. You know.
I was actually thinking of setting up some. I tried to set up some voice changing software the other day, because can you remember when I did my interview with Zozo, Sam? When I used face rig with the demon face, and I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do another interview with Zozo stream.
Yeah,
which are quite funny.
So what's this? The interview with Zozo?
I've got a piece of software where basically I can actually turn myself into a fox or a Sheba like Kaya, but one of the faces is a demon, and it actually matches your facial expressions. If you bob your tongue out, it bobs its tongue out and all sorts.
Oh wow!
But I also use voice changing software as well on the stream the one night, and I actually did a stream called An Interview with Zozo where I basically took the piss out of everybody in the channel, said all sorts of rude and naughty demonic things to them.
Oh, now that I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I don't like going down that route at all. I try to stay out of it.
You were in the stream that night.
Oh, no, I was in the stream, all right, you know. But, yeah.
It was just basically a piss take out of Desmond's.
Yeah.
She was just sitting there like that when she froze last week, and we couldn't figure out whether she was having
Dead.
her eyes.
Oh,
yeah, she looked dead.
She was having a Zen moment.
Sam was on the sofa looking dead.
Yeah, last week it was the video. This week it's the audio.
Yeah, I'm telling you, somebody supernatural's out to get us. First they tried
Well,
to
it's
strike me with lightning, and now they're trying to shut me up.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, let's not forget that one. Ooh.
That was freaky, wasn't it?
Oh,
are
And
you
the
anywhere near Nottingham, Brett?
No, I mean, well, Nottingham's about 25 miles from here.
Yeah, the lightning was actually captured on CCTV.
But
I've seen it.
the thing is, Sam, we are actually in the Rotherham Valley. We're not even on high ground, and it struck the house opposite while I was standing on the doorstep watching it. That was when it blew my internet up. And then Jace told me the following day it had struck at the top of the street and blew an hole in the water main as well.
whoa.
how crazy is that?
But
Yeah,
we're in the bottom of a valley. We're not even in high ground. But yeah,
I tell you what.
I didn't realise how loud lightning is because when it struck, it was. Have you ever been to a fireworks display where they let a big mortar off, and
Yeah.
you feel the thump off the? That was what I got on the doorstep, but it was literally 30 feet away, and I didn't realise lightning is about 8 inches thick. You know the main fork that comes down. That's about 8 inches wide. I thought they were only like the width of a broom handle or something. No, it's about 8 inches thick when it comes down that close. And it was the biggest boom I've ever heard. It was literally like a bomb had exploded 30 feet away.
That
And
is
I actually felt it. I actually felt the shockwave of it. And then my internet, I was literally on the phone to Sam as it happened. When I was talking to you in Skype, and it took. Luckily, I was on the phone Skype, talking to Sam at the time, and it swapped over onto me mobile data, but my internet went totally off. It totally blew my router off.
yeah, and when it's that close, I've been at a close encounter with lightning before. You get this ozone smell where
Yeah, it stunk. You could smell the ozone for about 2 minutes after.
the gases in the air get burnt in the process,
Yeah,
and you get this
yeah.
very distinct smell.
It's almost like it's like ammonia in your nose. It's horrible. It's weird. But what was weird is it actually struck the house where that bloody pigeon came from the week before, who tried to crash through the window, and then it went and sat back on the roof for an hour after, staring at me. It was the exact same house that the lightning struck. I swear to God, something is literally out to get me. I said to you the week before that pigeon means something, and then God tries to strike me with lightning.
Yeah. When you think of it too, millions and millions of volts of natural electricity.
Yeah. Well, what I'm waiting for next week is for the Don to flood and drown me, because that's obviously going to be the next one. Because I'm only 5 minutes from the River Don, so that's gonna, he ain't got me with lightning. He's going to try with a great flood next week, probably.
Oh God! Don't say
Be
that.
careful what you say, Brett.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're back to rain now as well.
I'm literally 5 minutes walk from the River Don. It's 2 streets away, literally.
Well, don't go near the river. Just hope it doesn't flood.
Yeah, talking heads. Take me to the river.
Yeah.
Dump me in the water.
I'll get Jace to video my body floating off downstream, and he can stream
Oh,
it as my last broad.
no.
He can stream it as my last channel broadcast. There goes Brett. Bye bye.
oh.
Make sure he's standing there with a recorder so he can pick up an EVP.
Well, if you were recording the other day with the lightning, you could have went out with a bang.
I know.
Literally.
Literally. I really wish I'd.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
I never even spoke to you, you stupid thing.
The router and echo device, so try restarting them. Unplug both.
That lightning's done something funky to your house, I'm telling you.
Wait 30 seconds.
Did anybody even mention a name?
No.
No.
Shut up.
Plug in the echo device.
Stop. Thank you. This is what happens.
Is that Alexa or Google?
Aye.
Right.
It's the first one.
Yeah, the A one. Yeah.
Yeah. She went through a
Alexa.
phase. She went through a. She won't answer you at the moment because but I've got my headphones on, so she can't hear anything anyway. And I never said the A word, so
I thought she might pick it up spiritually. You know what I mean?
she went through a phase last year of laughing at me for no particular reason.
Oh, no,
And
thank
and
you.
Amazon ended
Number
up having
5 is alive.
Amazon ended up having to put out an emergency patch because apparently it was doing it to a lot of people and freaking them out. She'd
Oh,
just
bugger
literally,
that.
she would literally just start cackling for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And she did it to me about 3 times. The one night, it was like about 11:30 on a night, and I was reading a book, and she just suddenly started cackling, and I'm like, "What the hell is she doing?" Sort of thing. And then it turned out after she'd been doing it to people worldwide, she'd just suddenly start, and it was a really evil laugh as well. It weren't even a pleasant laugh. It was a proper evil cackle. So they had to put an emergency badge out to stop her doing it.
Oh my god.
Amazon had no end of complaints about her frightening people. I wouldn't mind doing a session with, like an Alexa session and seeing if we can get Alexa to communicate with something.
I was just going to suggest the same thing.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Because I've actually got 2 Alexas. I've got one down here and one upstairs, and you can actually get them to talk to each other.
The only problem is some of the entertainers, like Omar Gosh and that, they've been doing a lot of the things with Siri. The American Alexa. Yeah.
Bloody random Nautica. Oh my god.
And then their cars. What are those new flash cars? Those
Teslas.
Teslas. Yeah,
Tesla.
the camera in the Teslas seeing ghosts and and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
But it's starting to get to the point around here where it literally is ghosting the machine.
Yeah.
This has been the last few weeks with electronic stuff in this house. All this crap started. She started to do that more and more again. Just suddenly start talking for no particular reason. She ain't even connected to the internet at the moment because, like I said, when they've changed my router, I said to you just before we started the stream, I ain't had time to reconnect her. So she ain't even connected to the internet. So what she's babbling about, I do not know. Because she ain't even connected.
Oh, God, that's creepy.
Wow.
Yeah.
You go to bed, wake up at 3 a.m. Desmond wants to talk to you.
Yeah. Because when she's connected to the internet, I can actually say to Alexa to phone somebody, and Alexa will phone for me. But she ain't even connected to the internet at the moment. So why she's even talking, I do not know.
Have you got a spirit box near you, an S box or something near you, Brett?
I've got a radio
Have
upstairs.
a to her now.
This area is really, Rotherham is really weird for spirit boxes. We get this really weird whining interference on spirit boxes. You don't pick much up here at all. It was worse at the old house, but I still get it here.
That might be a good thing for DRV, direct radio voice,
Yeah. Because we're in the valley, our radio signals are terrible, and we get and Claire got it as well, and there's a couple of others I've noticed of the Rotherham paranormal groups. They get it. You get this really horrible. I can't even explain what the noise is like, but it's constant thumping. It's like an heartbeat, thumping interference. It's really weird.
Is it a bit like the popping sound from the popcorn box, they call it in America? The little.
No, it's a proper. It's almost like a squall, but it's an heartbeat. It throbs like an heartbeat. Really
my AM does that here. I know exactly what you're talking about because my AM does that. FM's okay, but my AM does it.
We get it on both AM and FM here.
Oh, bugger that.
It's just the area. I don't know whether we're on a lot of quartz or what it is, and plus we're down in the valley as well, so it's all the signal.
Yeah.
The signal's weak anyway.
Yeah.
But why she's just suddenly started talking is anybody's guess because she ain't even connected to the internet at the moment. She's just being a freaky cow, like she normally is.
That's creepy.
What they're actually looking into is virtual reality and robotic, artificial intelligence.
AI.
ITC. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
Mm,
they're probably looking into all of this kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
It will actually be. I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to. Now virtual reality computer stuff's getting more popular. How that can be brought into the paranormal, because I think that's another good. That'll be another good avenue for for paranormal investigation with VR rather than the SLS cameras. I think
Yeah.
Oh,
VR.
absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
VR is going to be the next big thing in the paranormal. Now that
Who
the
brought,
equipment's
what,
coming down.
what company brought that? Oh, it's about 3 years ago now, where you could put a pair of like sunglasses or glasses on, and it had all your connections and your devices, and it could see everything and photograph at the same time. And
Yeah,
they
I
obviously
remember that. It
take
never took
off.
off. It never took off, did it? I remember
Yeah,
seeing
I
them.
thought they were fully wicked.
Well,
I
Sam,
thought they
your
were
light's just
brilliant.
gone really bright.
Oh, it's been doing it
Oh,
all
that.
night.
Not staying on like that though. She's going to heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Step into the
We'll
light,
see her.
Samantha. Step into the light.
She'll float off the chair.
I'm getting flashes in this corner. That's why a couple of minutes ago you see me looking in that direction in confusion. Do you know? A couple of nights ago, remember I was telling you way back where I got this orb of light about the size of a football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them 2 nights last week. It's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on, but I got
That was weird. The night I had that one go off in my hallway, that big blue one, and then you saw it the day after, didn't you? In your house. That was
yeah.
freaky. I
It's like
I had a grapefruit, and I mean it was grapefruit sized orb, and it was electric blue, and it lit up my hallway, the stairs, and into my living room. Literally while I was in the middle of a stream, and I'm telling people I've just seen this really big blue flash, and then the next day Sam had it in her living room, exactly the same thing.
yeah. It was like a bolt of lightning coming into my kitchen, just wow, wow, and bright white with blue.
Yeah.
Like a bolt of electricity, you know.
Yeah,
But that's what I seen in the corner.
that one I had in my living room. Have you ever seen anybody use an arc welder and you get that really intense
Yep.
blue?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was that. It was that. It was that, and it was that intensity. But it was the size of a grapefruit. It lit up the entire downstairs of my house while I was on the stream.
You don't get a spark
Oh
from an
my
arc welder and
God.
forget it. So
No.
that's huge.
Yeah,
That is massive.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually saw it through the gap in the doorway. It was in the hallway, and it was literally the size. And it was only there for a second, and it was the size of a grapefruit. It was huge, absolutely huge. And it lit up my hallway and all upstairs and everything, and it actually lit up into the living room. That's why that's what I saw it, and it was there for about a second or so, and then it just blinked out and it was gone. And then Sam had it the next day.
Oh, black
Don't
roses.
you think it's weird all this lot going on? I've had internet problems. Deb's had a audio go crazy. Sammy's now getting a camera that's flashing its
And his
gamma
lights
backwards
been
and
dimming
forwards.
all so.
Yeah,
It goes bright, then it dims and goes down low, and then it.
yeah.
Do you know what's
Julie had to plug in her internet directly into the router before we started because she was sticking constantly. It's been
Yeah.
nothing but technical problems the entire stream.
Tonight? Yeah,
But we embrace them.
we
Yeah.
have.
Bring it on.
Absolutely.
We're ready.
Black
Right,
Rose
we
says, did you
don't
find
back
out why
down.
the police blocked off the
No.
road the other night, Sam?
Suspect device and the controlled explosion. Bang bang. They done it on a bridge as well earlier that night, and then somewhere else. I think it was 3 different.
I thought you'd left bits of your equipment in the Peace Garden again, like you did last time.
Yeah,
That
remember
sounds like a
that
laptop.
there was actually paranormal investigators that left a REM pod or something like that in a building that they were investigating. I can't remember, was it in America or the UK, but it was discovered, and people rang the bomb squad and done a controlled explosion, and it was
On a
actually
REM pod.
paranormal.
On a REM pod.
You know?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know,
But,
but
yeah.
it's just been weird tonight how everything seems to be happening at once for all of us. You know, and we're all
Yeah.
miles apart from one another.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I should be able to go on Streamlabs on my iPad, which I've done before, and go bang.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
still getting familiar with the new Apple device for some. It won't even open up. It says I've downloaded Messenger, but it won't open. I've had technical difficulties. What just happened then?
And speech.
And developing a
wow.
speech impediment. Yeah. Go on.
I thought you were going to say technical difficulties.
What did I?
Testicle difficulties.
I've never wished for those, but okay. I've got a set of testicles and mine are bigger than yours.
Oh God.
Oh, now we're really going off track. Yeah, it's just been a really weird night.
Go for it, Kanga.
I was just going to
What-
type those exact words, Brett. Go for it, Kanga.
While you were typing it, I will tell you the only time I have ever really had, and I don't even class it as a negative experience, as an evil experience, but it was negative. I did a Ouija board session with my sister and a group of her friends and my friends in an house the one night, and I warned them before we started not to mess around with what we were doing. And we asked if there were any spirits. Well, I asked if there were any spirits present, and somebody came up with a smart comment of, "Yeah, they're in the cabinet over there." The lamp. It was literally what happened next was literally like a scene out of an horror movie. I kid you not. The lamp on top of the TV started flashing on and off. It started strobing. Every door in the house slammed shut. We managed to pry the living room door open in the end. We got as far as the front door, and my sister's boyfriend at the time could only get the door open about an inch before it had slammed shut again. And everybody ended up having to crawl out of the living room window in fear because we literally couldn't get out the house. It was like a scene out of an horror movie. Now, I don't take that as a negative. I don't think it was anything evil. I think that because they were pissing people off on the spirit board, it was we're going to teach you a lesson type of
Yeah.
thing.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, and that was it. And I'd warned them before we started. You've got to take this seriously, and they messed about, and we paid the price for it. And that is the one and only real negative thing I've had on the Ouija board ever. That's why I always say to people, I can count the bad experiences I've had on a Ouija board on one hand, literally.
So has anyone got any more questions on symbology?
Or on why Alexa's weird.
If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat and we'll be happy to answer them for you.
Anybody got any medical questions about Deb's disruptive testicles while you're right here?
I think Spirit Stalker does. He's going testicle, 1, 2, 3.
Mouth-to-mouth
resuscitation.
Yeah, I just think this has been a really this has been a really weird stream tonight. It's like problems have been made to order. As soon as we start talking about sound and stuff, we get sound problems.
I didn't catch that.
Whoa, okay.
Oh, speaking of audio testing, it was I think last week, myself and Rachel, we were recording a session, and we sometimes do a sound check and that, and I forgot I was recording, and we normally do the mucking about testing that we normally do. 1, 2, 1, 2, Big Harry. Oh, I forgot camera rolling. Yeah. Sometimes some of the things we see in testing is really weird.
Yeah.
Hey, Harry. I don't go, oh, God.
All
Start
of,
again.
all of you know South Park, right? You know Wendy Testerberger.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, there's this character in South Park called Wendy Testerberger. So when
Yeah.
I started playing, many years ago, I started playing. It's one of those shooting games.
I love that.
You know, Black Ops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I started playing that.
Call of Duty.
And so Call of Duty, and my name was Testerberger 101.
Gee.
Kanga says, in high school, my friends made a Ouija board and brought it to school. We were on it at every break. Spirit told us we'd opened a portal and bad things had come through. Believe me, that's just a case of them telling you what you were expecting to hear, as far as I'm concerned.
I kid you not.
Go on, Julie.
Straight after this, a toxic substance called PCB started leaking out of the fluoro lights in that room. Then it started throughout the whole building. What's PCB?
It's probably the gas that's inside the
Yeah. The
inside the tubes.
neon lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when the electricity passes through that gas, doesn't that turn into vapor?
Yes.
Yeah.
The visual vapor.
It fluoresces.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would it be a liquid?
I have no idea. There's no.
Because
I can't think of an electrical reason for it.
Yeah.
No, toxic substance leaking out.
Yeah.
So PCB, is that like a plasma or plasmoid or?
It's got to be.
Or just
It's got to be.
liquid?
It's got to be whatever that gas is. What they call that gas in. Because I know
Yeah,
they've got
it'd have to be the gas.
the gas inside them. Because as a kid, we used to have a lot of pleasure of getting the old fluorescent lights and throwing them up in the air and watching them drop. If you drop them on the end, they collapse like a cartoony type
Yeah.
effect. But they do smell. There is a smell comes out of them, whatever the gas is in them.
Yeah, there's a slight powder sometimes. It kind of like a slight
There is.
powder.
There is a powder in them.
But I've never seen a liquid.
I think that powder is what they use on the glass to make the light actually opaque. That's the coating on the actual glass itself.
I think so. Yeah. Otherwise, it should be.
So you can tell Sam's
gas.
played around with breaking fluorescent lights as well.
Yeah.
Everybody's done it at least once just to see what happens.
Oh yeah,
As far as I'm aware, Kanga, there's no liquid inside a fluorescent light.
Yeah, if you
It's
break
gas.
one, it doesn't go to liquid.
It's definitely a gas.
No.
Yeah.
So how do you make
No,
a gas go to a solid, like a liquid?
It's freezing.
There's no chemical reaction to, and oxygen would make it do that.
No.
The only way you can convert a gas to a liquid is to cool it.
Yeah. And if the light was on, then it'd be hot,
Yeah.
which still wouldn't. It would release the gas, and make it visible, but it wouldn't turn it to a solid liquid.
Yeah. Believe me, I've broken tons of fluorescent lights in my time, and I've never seen liquid come out of one. All you get is the powder and the smell of the gas as it escapes.
Let me ask.
Go on.
Let me ask you, Kanga. Did anything else happen after that? Honestly, at school or to any of you at home that you could definitively connect it to that experience? Just wondering.
I was 16. It was 100 years ago.
See, I've actually seen ectoplasm, and even that isn't liquid. I can't even describe what that is.
Is it foamy?
Yeah, that is about. But It behaves like a foam would, but it's more gaseous. It's the weirdest thing ever, Sam. I can't even explain what it's like. It's like
That would
watching
be
a.
so cool.
I've only ever seen it once. I've only ever seen one good physical medium, and that was years ago. I was only about 14, 15 at the time.
Oh wow.
And, the things she conjured up that night, there is absolutely no way she could have faked them. Absolutely no way.
Yeah.
But, this is where all the false beliefs come in from the TV and stuff. You could use a Ouija board every single day, 8 hours a day. It'll have no. It'll The only effect it'll have on you is the one that you invent in your head. The board
Mm,
itself will not physically affect you. Same as Sam.
mm.
Sam does a lot of spirit boxes. It's exactly the same thing. It ain't affecting Sam in any way, apart from she thinks testicles is technical, but there you go. You wouldn't say Sam's crazy or weird or affected in any way, shape, or form.
Any
No.
worse than I already am. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
And
Jordan, Pete.
It's all right. I'm trying not to wince here. I've just cracked my ankle bone on the leg of my chair, and I'm doing my best not to pull a face or swear.
Well, here's an interesting bit of information. Okay, this is like I love looking at things and asking questions. So Kanga says here, of course we ignored it. We had a demon who said it was second in charge. He'll come through and give us his name. I won't repeat it just in case. Don't they say that having the name of a demon gives you power over it?
Yeah,
So why would a demon give you its name?
it never gives its name.
Mm.
And second in charge of what?
Yeah, I haven't heard that before.
Mm.
See, this again is what comes is another Hollywood thing. People are under the impression that hell is arranged like an army. You've got Satan as the general, and then you've got your sub-generals. All if you go into demonology, there are supposedly different levels of hell, but they're not actually like sergeants or anything. It's just the extent to the power that each one's supposed to have.
Yeah.
This thing about Satan, and then he's got his little army of generals and stuff. That is very much a media created thing. And
Yeah.
I agree, Black Rose, because if you read the Bible, and Sam can probably back this up better than anybody else, all through the Bible, wherever demons are referenced, they are referenced as sly and conniving. So at no point is a demon going to drop in your living room, gaboo, growl at you, I'm a demon, and now I'm going to possess you. If they were going to try and corrupt you, they would do it by appearing as somebody nice and pleasant first. The last thing they'd do is want to scare you out the room on first appearance.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly,
That's what
Sam.
it explains
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And attack the good. They don't attack the evil because they're already evil. They've already done, they don't have, there's no work to do there. They
There's no
attack
conversion, mate.
the prey on the good.
Yeah.
But the kicker came out of the blue one day. There was no usual chit chat. All of a sudden, the glass became super strong. I presume you mean by it moved a lot faster by that, and spelled out "end this now." Oh, it's clever if it managed to do it in capitals, then stopped. Nothing else.
Was an emoji with an accent.
Do you know that would actually be a brilliant experiment to create a Ouija board with emojis instead of letters, and then seeing what sort of communication you got. Asking people how they felt and seeing what the glass went to, whether it went to like smiley face or cry face, or that would
yeah.
actually be a really interesting experiment.
We
to
should have
include
kept our
emojis
mouth.
on a do an
Yeah.
emoji Ouija board.
We
That
should
is
have kept our
cool.
mouth shut about that one. We could have patterned that one.
Yeah,
you
that's
should
the see,
develop a
Kanga,
demon
that's the
one.
exact point. Because you were reading The Exorcist at the time, you went into doing that with expectations. And I've said this with people when they go on, whether they go on ghost hunts, whether they do the Ouija board, whether they do spirit boxes. If you go with certain expectations, you are going to meet things out there that will know what your expectations are and meet them just to see the reaction of you.
Yeah.
That is my personal belief.
Well, given all the technical difficulties we've all experienced this week after
Say it
last
again.
week,
Say that again, Deb. Say technical difficulties again. One more time.
technical difficulties.
Now say it at proper speed. Don't cheat and say it slow.
Shut up, bitch. Get back in your box or I'll crack your other ankle.
It stopped hurting now.
I can change that. Yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I like
difficulties.
using. I'd like to test that theory out, but I also like a glass being used rather than plastic.
I've always used the glass.
Yeah,
I've always used the glass without made Ouija
me
boards.
too.
Always have done.
It's a natural material.
I've had them fly off the table and all sorts, but I've never considered it negative in any way, shape, or form. Even that one in the living room, I don't think it was anything evil coming through. I just think they'd had enough of having the Mickey took and they were teaching us a lesson.
See, look, there's Sam's light again going bright.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been low.
Off you go, Sam.
Float away.
Don't forget to give the final wave as you disappear off screen.
That reminds me of Bruce Almighty.
Oh, that was funny. Oh, gosh. That was funny.
Oh, God, it started raining here again. I hope we don't have no more thunder.
Oh, gosh.
We have had 2 thunderstorms this week, and we don't
Say
normally
that again?
have them in the spring.
Say that again?
2 thunderstorms?
No, the bit before that. What?
We've had 2 thunderstorms this week.
Okay.
And I can say technical difficulties at normal speed as well.
I've got 2 words for you, Brett. Blow me.
Testicles.
But I've never wanted them. I'm happy with the I was born with.
I have actually done and I know this is going to sound weird, but sometimes when you do a Ouija board, especially if you're communicating with something that you may have communicated with before, it is, and this is going to sound really bonkers, but it does start to appear like the glass has got a certain personality by the way the glass behaves. It's almost like the best way to describe it. The Pixar lamp on the Pixar, like they give that lamp a personality. It's like that. The glass will occasionally like develop a personality on how it moves.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree with that. That's why I prefer them over anything plastic.
Yeah.
It's an inanimate object. Energy can't enter it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always suspect when people use plastic planchettes.
Mm-hmm.
Not convinced there, I'm afraid. Sorry, that's just my humble opinion. Not convinced it works.
I've done no end of Ouija boards where I've literally just written letters on little pieces of square paper, arranged them in a circle and stuck a glass in the middle, and it will work just as good as any.
I've done that one too.
Any store-bought Ouija board, it'll work just as good.
Yeah,
go.
We came up with all sorts of ideas. Using electronics, an electronic Ouija board. I know somebody did come up with something similar, but we were thinking about, motorized EMF kind of
Yeah.
thing. I even put out that idea of an Ouija board in a tray of water, and the planchette just floats around. And possibly maybe sort of an air pressure of some kind, where the air pressure randomly moves the.
Well, and anything, Sam, that's a recording, a piece of recording equipment. You could do it, say, like, depending on the frequencies, depending what light it lit up in the alphabet. You could even do it that way.
Yeah,
You could link it up with any kind of measuring equipment.
It'd be similar to Bill Chappell's digital dowsing, where you got random words.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
But do it in a kind of random lights kind of thing, like a kids game. Like these kids games where you have the little buttons you press.
That's it. That's an interesting point. The Black Rose made there. Don't forget, Kanga human spirit energy can be strong. I've been hit solidly in the gut and pushed downstairs by a strong human spirit. Yeah. The thing that got me into the paranormal in the first place was a poltergeist experience I had. That was moving physical shit around, including me. I've learned a lot about the world and myself since then. A good lesson for kids who don't know any better, to learn what they're dealing with, not playing with. But you do have to take into consideration in any area of the paranormal that you take your expectations in there, and they will be used against you occasionally.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair that there are a lot of people out there who expose kids to unrealistic expectations of things.
Julie's
I
got the technicalities now.
Yeah, I understand that some people have negative experiences, but I think that it's also important to educate them in the right way about what the negative experiences are and what the possibility of what is behind those negative experiences can be. For everyone to just assume that everything's demonic, I don't think is a fair realization.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
Most of the people who do this, and because it's on YouTube, it's the nature of being dramatic. They either refuse to, or they simply can't differentiate between negative and evil. Because a negative experience is not necessarily evil. Like that one I described where we were shut in the house and couldn't get out. I don't in any way I know I've never classed that as an evil experience. It was negative, but it was negative for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'd have never turned around and said, "Oh, a Desmond shut us in the house and won't let us out," because I don't believe it was. I believe it was just something we were communicating with. A couple of them there took the piece, riled it up, and it thought, enough's enough, I'm just going to teach you a lesson. There was no evil intent there whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Do you know when I think of all this, I think when it comes to misunderstanding or fabrication, that itself is an insult to the paranormal, to the communicators, to the spirits, because we're accusing the spirits of doing things that they did not do.
Yeah.
These events are sometimes twisted. So when I think of negative and positive, it's put out there as paranormal is a scary, spooky words I absolutely cannot stand. What I think the reality is the complete reverse around. 98% positive, and the rest negative, basically, rather than the other way around, which is portrayed on TV and on platforms where they're constantly coming out with poltergeist this, poltergeist that, demon this, Satan that, which we in when you look at it that sense too, they're calling some spirits demons, which could be an insult to them. It's an insult to the spirits. When you think of it that way.
What makes me laugh about all these oh, we're going to the poltergeist here, there, and everywhere. That just shows their ignorance anyway, because from personal experience, I can tell you, poltergeists are connected to a person, not a place.
There's a brilliant point there. It's like seeing shadow figures, not always negative. But
Yeah,
we
they
cast
are.
I've got
shadows, and
you.
they're all dark. You know what I mean? We cast shadows.
Yep.
Shadows are dark. You don't have bright shadows. You have dark shadows.
No,
Yep.
Do you know?
no,
Hmm. Exactly.
no.
The,
That's very true.
there's too much nowadays of, and it is to generate views on YouTube and you know and get the atmosphere going, where they are too quick to jump on the negative or portray something as negative when it ain't.
Mm.
You know, every growl's a demon, every bloody shadow is something evil coming to get you. It's bullshit. It is
Mm.
total bullshit. They don't know what it is unless the thing starts strangling. You're up the corner. You can't turn around and say it's in any way evil.
Oh, don't you just love the ones that do that? That I've
The
been punched.
scratching
I've
and
been.
stuff.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
It's like, when I went to Monte Cristo, and even since I was there, looking back on it now, I've learnt a lot about my experience I had there that I didn't realise then.
Mm,
And I can honestly say with hand on heart that when I went there, um, the, at the beginning of the night, the fellow said to me, because I had my shaved head, and he's like, "Oh, Mrs. Crawley, who was one of the ghosts, is going to think you're a maid and you've had head lice and had to shave your hair off." And then when I went to bed that night and the next early hours the next morning, I had my leg felt like it was being pulled a couple of times, and then something kind of held me down a bit. And I swear that I think it was someone that in spirit that came in to get me up out of bed to go to work for the day. And because I wouldn't get up, they were trying to like pull me out of bed.
Hmm.
I firmly believe that.
now,
And they didn't mean anything. Like they were just
no,
trying to like get me out of bed, you know?
yeah,
Mm.
because I thought you were a servant.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 I'm waiting for Sam to start glowing again.
Oh, it's been doing it all night, all
Yeah.
stream long.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
That had
I
to
got
happen on.
I
Flap your
got
wings,
dragged
Sam.
out of my bed once too. Well, my poltergeist experience ended after about 8 months, where I woke up one morning and it was actually fully materialized above me, and that doesn't happen very often in, from what I know, in poltergeist cases. It's very rare you actually see a poltergeist, but I actually saw mine, and I can describe him down to a T what he looked like, and he was actually floating above the bed at me, and he got totally neutral expression. He didn't look evil or nothing. He'd just got and he was staring down at me, and I was lying there looking up at him, and all of a sudden he lunged down at me, and as he lunged down, I went up in shock, and when we were like ear to ear, he just vanished, and then after that it just started to peter off. But it was 8 months altogether. My experience
Wow.
went on. I was 11 at the time, and that was what got me into the paranormal.
Mm,
That experience.
But I actually saw him at the end, and he was a guy. I always describe him as look like Dracula, but without the fangs. I mean the grease back hair. He'd
Yep.
got gel back hair like Brill cream or whatever. He'd got a white shirt on, dirty brown trousers, and working boots. Now that guy was only a foot above me, but I can tell you every single thing that bloke was wearing. Even though I physically couldn't see what he was wearing, I know what he was wearing, and I can't tell you how I know. But he came down. He literally lunged down at me, and as he came down, I jumped up in shock. You know, if he'd have been real, we'd have smacked heads. We'd have headbutted one another. And as we came face to face, he just blinked out, literally blinked. He didn't even fade away. He was there 1 second and gone the next, and that was how quick it
Jeez.
was. And that is the one and only time I have ever seen a full body apparition.
Mm.
But even him, I don't think, and he pinned me up the corner once with a cupboard. But I honestly do not believe he'd got evil intentions. I just think he wanted to be noticed. I just think he wanted somebody to know he was there. And even now, my parents still live in the same house. I will not sleep in that bedroom. I just don't like that bedroom. And my dad, for months and months and months, refused to. I used to sleep on the landing. That's how bad it got.
Wow.
And in the end, he just wanted, because my dad's Catholic and he was, don't believe in none of that crap.
Yeah.
And then one day he just suddenly announced he was moving me into another bedroom, and still to this day I am convinced my dad experienced something in that room. But
Yeah.
he'll never admit to it, because that's the sort of bloke he is. He'll never turn around and admit that what I'd seen he'd actually experienced. He'll never do it. I know that for a fact. But I'm convinced to this day that something happened that finally convinced him to move me out that room.
Now that'd be scary though when you're only 11. I mean, you're still a young child to have all that, happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Started off perfectly. Um, well, it's nothing about a poltergeist is perfectly normal, but it just started off with things like books tipping over on shelves, or things falling off cupboards. Then it graduated to, I was lying in bed. I was at my computer, because I've got a cabin bed with a computer desk underneath, and then you go up the ladder to the bed on top of it. It was one of them things, and it's got a wardrobe as well. And I heard what I thought was a bee buzzing in the room, and I'm terrified of them because I'm allergic of them. And I spun round, and the cupboard was vibrating in the corner that fast. It sounded like a bee, and I was actually watching the cupboard vibrate. Then I had things like appear or disappear out the room. Then I was in the bedroom the one day, and the cupboard literally slid. I'd got a cupboard against the wall, and it literally flipped round and pinned me in the corner behind it. That was probably the worst one ever. And then finally it appeared above me at the end. That was after 8 months. But it was very gradual. It weren't like booing out the cupboard from day one sort of thing. It started off very, very gradually and just built up. And no matter where I was, it would happen to me. And that was why I always say these idiots who claim they've got poltergeist houses and stuff are talking bullshit, because poltergeists are not residential. They are most definitely anchored to a person, and not an area. There's no such thing
Yeah.
as a poltergeist house. It's the person they go for, not the location, every time.
Yeah.
And I still to this day believe I was probably partly responsible for it. I was doing something, because it always seems to be kids going through puberty at the time. I was probably generating the energy for it.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
still
heard that
convinced.
too.
I'm still convinced of that to this day. That
Yeah.
it was me. It was something external, but it was me that was powering it. I was giving it the power, whatever it was. Still convinced of that to this day.
Yeah.
But
A lot of experiences, even though they're subjective, like you hear of people, for example, being sort of pulled out of beds and all sorts of things, the covers being pulled back. That's all part of the power that we give it.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I always say to people: if you go somewhere expecting something to happen, there's a good chance it will,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
they somehow know what your expectations are, and they will use them against you. Sometimes they will, without a
I
doubt.
actually, when I went to Monte Cristo, I told them out loud, the spirits of the house. I said, I want to have an experience while I'm here. I gave them permission to do it. So
Yeah,
I think that's why, I
yeah.
had an experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of our locations is a house called Cumber House, where it's used for paranormal investigations. It gives the people an extra source of income to keep the place running and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But we use that too, also to sort of you people into the paranormal. It's not It's not a heavy place to train. It's like a training ground, basically, for it. Caretaker says, in his experiences, it's not haunted.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He says, I don't believe any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, I can prove on camera that there's light anomalies with purpose.
Yeah.
I've captured them myself. You know, and
because
there
I
is
think it comes down to intent, Sam. I think if you,
Yeah.
if you are that convinced that nothing like that exists, you somehow insulate yourself from it. It's all
Yeah.
down to intent. You know, I personally think the power of intent powers everything. If you will
Oh, I
anything
agree with
enough, if you will anything enough, you can bring it into existence or whatever. Kanga
We
says,
create
"I'll
our
laugh at
own
her." I don't know
reality.
why, but apparently Kanga says she can hear a lady calling out to you, Sam, every now and again. I don't know why Kanga thinks I'll find it funny.
How come you deleted that message, Kanga? There's
What
nothing
was
wrong with
it?
that one.
Definitely nothing wrong with that one because
And she's hidden Black Rose.
something was going through my head for the last 15 minutes. I don't know what it is.
She's just
It
banned. You need
was,
to unban Black Rose.
Yeah.
but me and Kanga can't prove that. It's a personal experience,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. And
But
a lot of the paranormal is, Sam.
something's been happening for the last 15 minutes inside my head. The cogs are turning.
Yeah.
You know, something about a lady's energy. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying that because Kanga just said it. You know, I'm just, you know, actually, Kanga came up and on one of my streams and says, "Who's the lady with the black hair?" I says, "The lady in the black hair is the woman I saw last week past the kitchen, came out of one wall into the other wall and disappeared. Black hair in a bun and white dress." I didn't say anything to Kanga about it, but Kanga came up with that. And
Yeah.
thing is, I can't prove it. You know what I mean?
Sam,
can't
and on art, I had an old woman get on my bus once who never got off, and she
Yeah.
was as solid as anybody else. And she got on my last trip on the way back to the garage, and never got off. She just weren't there. I never even stopped the bus on the after picking her up. You know, I can't prove that to anybody, but I'll tell she was as solid as any of you are on this camera is now. There was nothing ghostly about it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them, when you see them, you can't even tell.
Yeah,
No,
that's true.
I remember-
she was solid as any of you lot.
I remember being in a priest's office, and there was this table just off to the side of me, and there was loads of these statues of Holy Marys. Right, there was loads of them in this on this round table. Next thing, the priest says, "Are you okay?" And I go, "What?" He says, "You're all right." I says, Yeah. He says, you've been transfixed over at the table there." I says, "Without breaking your concentration, what you must have been focusing specifically on one of those 10 or 15 Holy Marys." And he says, "Can you pick one that you're focused on?" And I says, "This one here was a wooden one in the middle of the table. There was other ones around it and stuff." He says, "What's on your mind when you're focused on that? Can you tell me the picture? Picture what's going through your head?" And I says, I see a street, a cobblestone street. I see an old man, and do you know these streets where there's no footpath? It's just a cobble street, and then there's these little things like garages, and there's an old man in this garage. He says, you know what you're just after telling me? You're after telling me and showing me that the person that made that statue was an old guy. He got a he got a from Holy Mary, who encouraged him to make that statue in his little workshop on the street. He says, I don't know how it works. I don't know, is there a message in there for you? But that's what you picked up off the statue, probably picked up the energy and turned it into picture form. He went into scientific details about it way before I was into the paranormal, you know. So was that man's energy transferred into this wooden statue that he carved with his own hands? And was that energy transferred to me and then turned back into picture? How does the mind work? I don't know.
Exactly. I've just copied that message of Black Roses so everybody can see what he actually put. I had to shorten it slightly though because Black Rose Spirited wouldn't fit. It was too many letters.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they said that a patient, after they'd passed, had come back and kind of, they had a hand waving to say thank you for looking after me and for the chats and stuff, which was kind of cool. All right.
My sister did some training in a nursing home, and she was talking to a woman the one day, and she said she always claimed her sister used to visit her, and they took no notes of her. And my sister said she was in the room with her the one day, and she said, "Oh, my sister's coming to say hello to you," and the curtain billowed outwards, as she said it, even though the door was shut. And she says it was like somebody had walked in through the curtain and she said, "Oh, my sister's coming to talk to you," and she says, and the curtain billowed out. She said she couldn't get out the room fast enough.
God.
Said she couldn't get out the room fast enough.
That's
But
freaky.
see, it's really weird how really old people and really young people tend to see these things. It's like they've reached certain point of acceptance, and it helps in some way or another. But my sister still talks about that to this day. She's never forgot it, and she was only like 16 at the time, but she's never ever forgot it. Never forgot it.
See, if something like that happened in front of us, we'd probably be like, "Whoa!" Like crazy excited. Like, "Oh, I can't believe I saw that." Other people would probably run.
Yeah, my sister said she couldn't get out the room fast enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, you guys can stick around for a little bit if you want. I'm going to say goodbye to the rest of the stream. We've been on here for almost 4 hours. We've done well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
4 hours.
Almost 4 hours.
I thought it's only been about 2.5.
No, 3 minutes, 3 hours, 51 minutes. All right, guys, we're going to say goodbye, but thank you so much for coming in for this stream, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.